Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Left Side, Strong Side. I'm your host, Chance Ellison, joining my co-hosts, Mike Deacon, Jacob Blunt, and joining us, one of our favorite guests to have on this show. He came for the playoffs last season. Now he's here for a full season episode. My biological father, Mark Ellis. Ellis, thank you so much for being here.
The check is in the mail, son. Let's get that fishing trip on the books. And did I get demoted? Because you're right. I did the playoffs last season, and now I'm just regular. Am I doing preseason next year? Like, this is a bad trajectory to be on.
No. Next season, you're going to host our all-movie drafts, our all-movie draft part 2.
Always
that was fun. Anybody has not seen our all-movie draft, go watch that. It was a lot of fun. Movie Guys hosted. Winston was on it. It was great.
It sounds like a blast. I'm just glad that I'm looking around the room here, and I'm seeing possibly one playoff contender, and that's about it. So let's just bathe in our misery, guys.
Yep.
Before we do any of that, we have to talk about and a lot of people know I'm not wearing my Steelers hat right now. I want to switch on to the baseball cap because we have to talk about this show. Look, Shohei Ohtani. Don't follow baseball. Shohei Ohtani, arguably the best player in baseball right now. He's a dude who can literally do anything. And then the Anaheim Angels killed him because Anaheim could have nothing good except Disneyland. That's pretty all right. But anyways, there was a lot of talk about where Shohei Ohtani was going to sign. And to my everlasting misery as a New York Yankees fan, he did sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers. An absolutely fucking absurd deal. 10 years, $700 million. A deal that made all athletes go, holy fuck, I chose the wrong sport. I definitely chose the wrong sport. But the crazy thing isn't the contract. He got a bag, sure. The crazy thing is the specifics of the contract, because when you look at it, Shohei is going to be making $2 million every year for the next 10 years, and then $680 million once the contract is over, which all of a sudden we're just like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
So it makes I think I'm the one person who goes, okay, that makes sense. Because that means he doesn't have to pay
it makes sense. I just never seen that much money deferred on one contract.
He's gambling that the LA Dodgers aren't going to go into go bankrupt sometime in the next 20 years. I don't think they will. I think the LA Dodgers, out of all the baseball teams, are going to be pretty okay. So, out of all of them, they're the ones that I feel fairly safe about. So, yeah, this way I think the one person right now, or one form of government that's really pissed off that they're doing the deferment is the California government, because they're going to miss out on a lot of that tax.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look, the thing that I'm excited about with Shohei, first of all, it's a shame that he left Anaheim for Los Angeles for $700 million, because Anaheim is a great place to spend a lot of money in a hurry. You can go down there.
Absolutely.
You can drop thousands and thousands of dollars on nothing but turkey legs and mouse ears, and that's just in a day. And then you head back north. The thing that gives me pause is along Jacob's line. I'm trying to think of even a movie that showed us what past 2035 looks like. It's pretty much Ready Player One and everything else. And so we may still have money in California. We're not going to have any water. We might be underground by 2035, but it really does show me how safe that Shohei is with money and with his funds, because I see $700 million and you're only getting $2 million a year. I'm like, I might need $5 million a year just to be safe,
just to know. Hey, look, we all know LA ain't cheap. LA ain't cheap.
No.
I mean, I was going to tell. $2 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong; it is a lot of money, but it's also not a lot of money for for an athlete of his caliber. It's sitting there going, "You're getting $2 million a year. That's not a whole lot of money in LA."
The thing that scares me is the Dodgers actually fielding a championship contender with Shohei under that price tag. I will say though, 2047, I am throwing a Shohei Day party. Because we had Bobby Bonilla Day, now we're gonna have Shohei Day.
Don't I know about Bobby Bonilla Day?
Yeah.
And I think that Bobby
Greatest holiday of
Bonilla
sports.
payments run out the year before Shohei's payments begin, which is adorable. So you have that, but like Shohei Ohtani in Los Angeles, $2 million a year, he's basically going to be the richest guy to live in a 1-bedroom apartment. Like he's going to be driving a Toyota Prius
with a roommate,
and good luck with that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the actual football. Going over to our Sunday morning slate, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No. There's a certain game on Thursday that we must be talking about.
Nope. There's no Thursday night football this week. They took a week off, and I had to spare us. There was no Thursday night football. I refuse to acknowledge it. Hang on a second.
There we go. All right. Now we can speak freely. Look.
Okay, I had to switch the hats out. Okay, fine. God damn it, fine. Thursday night football, New England Patriots versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That game is the reason why I got back in the gym because, you look at the quarterbacks in the NFL, I'm not that far off from getting a phone call.
Where we're at.
Yeah, no, you know what? Honestly, Mark, real talk. I would rather have you under center than kissing titties. Like, I would rather have you under center than Mitch Trubisky.
It was a brutal game to watch, but it did get exciting there at the end, and it's just another example as to why I don't feel like Thursday night football should exist. I still watch it, but it's just the latest case study that's like we should really let everybody have a week off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now before I let the peanut gallery jump in, let me just say real quick. I usually let you look when Steelers suffer a bad loss. I usually let you guys go first. I'm going to go first this time because I do have something I want to say real quick. Look, I will acknowledge. Look, I think this game came at a really bad time. You suffered a really, really stupid loss to a team you had no business losing to. Again, Pittsburgh tradition. And then you had to turn around 3 days later and you had 3 days to reel from that loss, come back and play this game. It's a bad situation to be in. Having said that, there's no excuse. There ain't no excuse. I mean, there are excuses, but also there's no excuse because look, you let a team who got shut out by Los Angeles come in and score 3 touchdowns on you in a half. Like the defense in the first half did not show up. They adjusted, but the other half of that equation is the offense did not show up in any facet. Like nobody could do anything correctly. Not Jalen Warren, not Najee Harris, none of the receivers, especially not you, Mitch Trubisky. Like I firmly believe Mitch Trubisky is maybe one of the worst backups in the league. Like I genuinely hate that this man is our quarterback. I will take anybody.
This year, fair.
With how many we've seen, like Mitch Trubisky, I never loved him as a quarterback. Like he has moments. But every now and then he makes that classic Mitch Trubisky mistake and happen over and over. And the shitty thing is, like, the Patriots were begging us to come back and win this game. They kept giving us opportunities that the Steelers offense could just not capitalize on. And I get it. We have no OC. We have a combination of 2 guys who, like, are decent. They're better than the last guy we had. That's not saying much, but they're better than the last guy we had. But, like, the fact that, like, we had opportunities to win this game, and they just kept pissing it away. And, like, it wouldn't be nearly as bad if it wasn't to the fucking Patriots. Like, if it were to any other team. Like, the one thing I wanted this year, like, we expelled the demon of Tom Brady. I wanted to put the final nail in the coffin of the Patriots. And for some reason, we can't fucking do that.
It is funny you mentioned Tom Brady. If there was ever a year, like, he's never coming back to the NFL because if he was going to, this was the year to do it.
If there was the year, this is the one.
Yeah. Like, look, you're right. The big takeaway from this is, again, all the Pickens stuff at the moment that's happening is not good for the team at all.
At the same time, though, like, I can't be upset with her being pissed off because, like, yeah, you're playing with a quarterback who can't quarterback. Like, what? Yeah, I get that you're frustrated.
I really love him as a coach. There's going to be some questions starting to being asked about Tomlin.
No, and I will contend with that. Like if you ask me at the beginning of the season, like, do I want Mike Tomlin gone? I'd be like, hell no. Now, like, I still don't want him gone, but the fact that I have to question that, it's saying a lot.
I think we're 12 months away. I think we're another one of these seasons away from there being legitimate questions. We're not there yet. We're here this time next year. We could have legitimate questions.
Oh my God, Jacob, shout it from the rooftops. Not because I agree with you, but because I want Mike Tomlin to be the next head coach of the Washington Commanders. So
that's the thing. I'm just like, I know if we let Tomlin walk, somebody else will hire him.
Right
and
here,
like, I think
easy.
Right here.
I firmly believe like every one of you guys would take Tomlin as your head coach right now.
I get it's tough dealing with all the success that Steelers fans have dealt with the last, I don't know, umpteen centuries, but like Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season in 20 years. Okay. Does anybody want to come down to my level? Does anybody want to play in this sandbox? I mean, you have two folks on this show right now who have just been like the money ball. There's rich teams, there's poor teams, there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's us. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can only hear so much complaining about Mike Tomlin. The team itself, yeah, there's a lot of issues there, and I don't know how you clear this up anytime soon. Having said that, my God, just rest on your laurels for a little bit. I've been resting on the 1980s for the last 25 years. So enjoy the success that you have had for just a season or two, Chance.
So I don't want Tomlin gone. I firmly do not want Tomlin gone. But the fact that I'm talking about like, should we move on? Is like it's saying a lot. I do think he's a great coach.
You seem like you're in the minority though with Steelers fans, and it seems like a recurring course every time like around this year. Put a percentage on it? What percentage of Steelers fans do you think actually want Tomlin gone?
I would say like a good 40 to 50. I think people are just sick of the stagnation, which to a degree I understand, but at the same time it's just like, okay, I think like Arthur Moat put it best. Like sure, like you put so much value on like the postseason, you forget like how vital the regular season is. In the regular season, he's excellent. Postseason, you talk about that all you want, but you can't have this without being great in this. So like I get it. And I don't think like Steelers fans can fully like handle like the kind of rebuild and changes they're asking for. And at the same time, like we are way more likely to get a worse coach than Tomlin than we are to get a better coach than Tomlin. So I would rather keep him on.
I mean, we're seeing it in New England. They're going through suddenly you're a bad football team. And we're seeing them fans. They've had it for 3 years where you've not been a powerhouse in the NFL, and they're losing their minds. So yeah, I agree with you.
Fantastic. So what I've been waiting for this for Thursday. This was my Super Bowl because Pittsburgh has pretty much, well, they're not out yet because of how bad the AFC is. New England potentially screwed up their draft pick because they play the Jets week 18. Either the Jets are losing their losing streak against New England if they beat them, or New England is going to be out of the top 2 picks and won't be able to get that quarterback. There's only one thing I can do.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll let that one slide.
I'll toast you just on behalf of the 2 crappiest franchises in the NFL.
Cheers, Mark.
Look, I will say, everyone got everything. Okay, cool. Look, I will say, say what you want about Kenny Pickett. I miss him. I want him back, and I firmly do believe that if he was in the last 2 games, we would have won.
I think Kenny Pickett gets you the dub. Clearly on Thursday night he gets you the dub, but Thursday night was interesting for me because it was kind of like watching that pay-per-view Tyson Holyfield fight that happened last year, where it's like these franchises, the uniforms, you know the coaches, but this ain't what we're used to with these things.
Nope.
Yeah, it's weird. Like they're like I think like 3 genuine Hall of Fame coaches in the NFL right now. Past 2 weeks, all of them have lost. Well, no, Belichick won, but winning for them is losing right now. So in the way they kind of lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to beat the goddamn Patriots. That's all I want. I want to beat the fucking Patriots.
I get it. I get it. But you just tell yourself, hey man, we had a tough game and we lost to a team that's been to the Super Bowl 9 times in the last 25. I mean, what a juggernaut these Patriots were. We almost beat them.
Not even Big Mac Jones. Without the Bailey zapping. It's funny enough, like this happened last year when we like, okay, we had Trubisky facing the Patriots. You can do this. No, you can't do this. You cannot do this. And also, like, we need middle linebackers, like expeditiously. Get some middle linebackers.
Again,
all of our linebackers are dead.
That's why I've been working out. While you guys go to the next really boring game, Molly's threatening to pee on my leg, so I'm going to take her out real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, Mark Ellis will return. But yeah, he's not wrong. The next game we're talking about, it's not as boring as I thought it would have been, but the Buccaneers versus the Falcons in a battle that somehow for the NFC South lead.
Absolutely crazy that these two teams are leading their division, playing the kind of football that they're playing right now. Like, that's a ugly football game. I'm not going to say it was a terrible game because it was kind of exciting because it went down pretty close to the wire there. But neither one of these teams intimidates me whatsoever. And whichever one of these teams winds up playing Dallas or Philadelphia is going to get absolutely annihilated in the playoffs.
Yeah. Welcome to your first week bye, Dallas and Philadelphia. One of us is getting this one bye.
Crazy thing about this game is the fact that fucking Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown. I thought that was outlawed.
Honestly,
Drake London went off.
Ritter played well. Funny enough, this is probably one of his better games that he's played, and it was just unfortunately Baker played better. Like, it was just.
I mean, it's you can say that, but like also he didn't play great. Just that the bar for Ritter is just like so low.
I understand that. Like, it's so low that but he played well enough. I thought, like, in this game to win, Baker just played slightly better, and it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean the fact that he used good.
There's not that much really to this game. Younghoe Koo missing the 2 field goals is like one of the biggest stories because he's no longer the all-time.
Younghoe Koo missing. I didn't know he knew how to do that.
Missed twice, yeah. So he's it's back to Justin Tucker being the all-time leader.
Yeah, Younghoe Koo. He brushed shame upon himself and his family. He probably burned his cleats after the game. And yeah, because of this game, Tampa Bay now sits atop the NFC South. Delete this division immediately.
Seriously.
Like, we're in for a real long. All 4 of these teams in this division are just in for a long rebuilds because Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
the fact that one of them
except for Carolina's best player currently is in the twilight of their career, so that the South is going to be ugly for a little while.
Which player? Brian Burns? Brian Burns look like a guy in the tank.
No, they have Bryce to build around, which the other teams don't. The Falcons do have a good young offense with Bijan, with London, but Ritter.
If they can get a coach that knew how to use him.
Yeah, the Falcons should be the class of that division by a mile right now. They're not, but if they're the ones that can sneak into the playoffs, I'd be rooting for the Falcons anyway if they would continue to start Heineke over Ritter. But and I never root for injury, but if there's ineffectiveness with Ritter, which let's say is in the realm of possibility,
which is not crazy to believe that could happen.
No, hey, well, let me tell you something. Falcons get into the playoffs. They put Heineke in a quarterback. You're not going to want to play that team, okay? And because he pushed Tom Brady's Bucs the year they won the Super Bowl to the limit in the playoffs, so you do not want to play against that team.
But here's the other thing: it's going to be Heineke. If the Falcons make it, it's Heineke in the playoffs, and they put Heineke in, which is the two big ifs.
The big if, yeah.
But he's then playing a Cowboys team he's played before, like that he knows very well, or an Eagles team an Eagles team where, hey, what was Washington famous for doing when Heineke was the quarterback? Yeah. Beating the Eagles, being the one team that could beat the Eagles.
Yeah, and I mean, I think San Francisco is going to beat everybody, but I think the Falcons could sneak up. I think the Falcons could be who folks were thinking the Lions were going to be last year if they snuck into the playoffs, where they get in and you don't want to face them. They're not as talented as the Lions were last year, but they could still make some noise.
Well, speaking of which, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. I mean, Bethany, I'm so glad you're here because I just have one question. Detroit, what the hell? Like, seriously, what the hell is wrong with you?
That was a terrible start for them this game. Like, they came out so flat-footed in the first and made a very vulnerable Chicago team actually look pretty good for a little bit.
Yeah. They came out flat in the first quarter, roared back in the second quarter, but then played the worst half of football I have seen them play all year.
Mm-hmm. And finally, the going for it on fourth down in their own side of the field caught up to them because Chicago was getting an average starting field position in like the Detroit 25 or 30 because Campbell kept going for 4th and long, even when the game wasn't out of hand yet. So, yeah, they did this themselves. Detroit lost this game almost as much as Chicago won it.
Y'all acting like the Lions didn't do this on purpose, just to screw the Bears in some way down the road, just to make them think, hey, maybe we should hang on to Justin Fields. Maybe he's our franchise guy. Like, we have Carolina's pick. We have our, like, maybe there's no way that they could have played this bad. Honestly, I think that the Lions are subject to what a lot of new good teams are fall prey to, which is you're really good at the beginning of the season and you're starting to think about the playoffs and you're not worried about the Bears. Are you kidding me? It's like you take Chance's Steelers, back when they were the Steelers, they would still play hard every week, right? They never took a week off unless you're resting starters, and same thing with the Patriots used to do. Good teams do that. They are used to being good, but the Lions are not used to being good yet. Right? Yep. They'll play their ass off if they have to, like what they did towards the stretch run last year. This year, it's a very different scenario for them. So you look around that division, you're like, we don't have to worry about the Bears. We don't have to worry about the Vikings, the Packers. So they're going to get in. But the question is, does anybody want to play them? Unlike last year, yes, everybody's going to want to play the Lions if they look like this.
Well, it's looking like they're most likely going to play either a divisional opponent in the playoffs or a Rams team that's starting to get hot at the right time.
They could be scary, and
that could be very scary for the Lions. The Lions look outside of the South. The Lions are vulnerable, for potentially losing a wild card game. They're the one that are a little. That's a little bit dangerous. And I've always said
the problem with Detroit is that they're mistake prone. They are really mistake prone. And that falls a lot on Jared Goff. I'm like, the dude has no balls like Jerry the past couple of weeks.
He's struggling. We were all saying, Goff absolutely certain. Goff might get an extended contract. If he gets one next year, it's 1 year. That's they're not going to go more than 1 year next year.
I mean, I feel like next year they're going to see if Hendon Hooker's got anything.
But here's the thing, too. It wasn't all on Goff. Like, St. Brown made some very uncharacteristic misses in this game. Like, he had 2 or 3 balls that were on the numbers that he dropped. He's one of the most sure-handed receivers in football. And to see him do that.
I saw that. I'm just like, what did Amon-Ra St. Brown know how to drop a ball?
Right. Because he catches everything. Like, that really surprised me. And he did it a few times.
I think the scariest thing about the Lions, like watching them 2 days ago, and both of us were talking about this, right, is that Jared Goff, he doesn't look dead, but like his arm doesn't look dead, but they're starting to look like the Saints the last few years with Drew Brees, where they get off to good starts, and then it's like, okay, where's the offensive firepower that we know you for? And it's not all on Goff. It's not. But somebody has to step up on that team, and it's not going to be the defense, who's looked like crap the last couple weeks too. Somebody has to light a fire under there, and I don't know who that guy's going to be.
It could be Gibbs. Like, Gibbs has played, even in these past couple weeks, Gibbs has played well. If they start to rely on him a little bit more, you could see the spark. They're still using Montgomery, but I agree with what you're saying. Like, aside from St. Brown, their receivers are not intimidating right now. Jamison Williams is looking like a bust. And I thought 2 years ago, if he didn't have the ACL injury, he could have been the top 3 pick, and boy, is he not. So
he is. Yeah, Jamison Williams he is not paid off
at all.
Circling back to the Bears, Mark, you kind of alluded to it. Who do they do? They keep Fields at this point and draft draft Marvin Harrison Jr.?
That's what I do.
Or trade down again.
I wouldn't be trading down with that.
No.
With Cardinals there who could also go up and grab him, I wouldn't be trading down.
If they can trade with New England, right now, if they switch to New England and pick up a couple of late round picks, you absolutely do it. Otherwise, I say take Harrison.
Man, that's tough because you also have you have an itchy fan base. You don't like it's so there's so many nebulous areas with Chicago right now because I don't know what's going to happen with Eberflus. I don't know what's going to happen with the staff. Like I
know he's gone. He is gone.
I think get a new coach, get a new offensively minded coach. Go. And then go full pelt because then you'll have Marvin Harrison Jr. on one side and DJ Moore on another. And then with your actual pick, not Carolina's, with your actual pick, grab an O lineman. And I think that is a building block for the Bears, a really good one compared to grab a quarterback and then maybe an O lineman if you've fallen far enough, or because Harrison won't fall down for you to be able to grab him with your other pick.
He's not out of the top three. But if they get Harrison and say Joe Alt from Notre Dame, jump up and down if you're a Bears fan because I don't see a better scenario than that.
You guys want to watch our beloved Peggy's head explode? Is you keep Justin Fields at quarterback, you draft Marvin Harrison Jr., you fire Eberflus, and who better to coach two Ohio State legends than Urban Meyer, baby?
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh shit! Oh, if Justin Fields wasn't dead before, he's gonna be really dead after that season.
Sorry to put that energy in the universe, Peggy.
All right, well, moving on from that. With Indianapolis Colts taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a game we thought would either be boom or bust for Gardner Minshew. He looked at that and said yes, because he played fine. But honestly, it was the Bengals offense who really was playing better without Joe Burrow than they did with Joe Burrow.
Here's the thing, too. They started using Chase Brown, who is explosive. Why have they not been using this kid all season? Because he has been exploding with these. He had a 72-yard touchdown or whatever it was that off the screen. And Jake Browning right now, the way he's played in these two games, I'd argue he's looked better than Burrow has all season.
Well, yes. I think honestly,
at 1/10 of the price.
But no, right now, this has become a massive indictment on Zach Taylor and it's also and by that I'm meaning you never should have played Burrow. Burrow was clearly injured. You never should have played him. Let him rested, get healthy because you had Browning, and Browning's apparently pretty damn good. Or not he's playing well enough at the moment to.
Browning's on a 1-year deal, so he's
got a 1 year, a couple of games.
Playing for the next team right now.
Funny now, it's these two quarterbacks, both him and Minshew, are on the last year of their deals, so they're fighting for a bag next year. Which, look, Omar Khan, just cut Trubisky, cut Rudolph, go grab Gardner Minshew.
Hey, look,
we're paying ticket peanuts. So we can keep him around.
Yeah, a prize backup is a hot commodity in the NFL right now, and Browning is kind of proving that point. Jacob, to your point, I think it was really tough on Zach Taylor because Burrow signed this huge contract in the offseason. It looks tiny by Shohei standards, but it's pretty big for football players. And I don't know
that's cute.
I don't know what that building's like, but it's you have so many expectations. You just signed this quarterback to this record deal, and it's his cap, and it's I think he can get it through. And he looked progressively worse for the first few weeks. And I just think that's a lot of pressure to put on the coach to make that decision. That's what they get paid for. But Browning, if you had done what, let me think about it. Oh, right. Maybe Jamar Chase should be the head coach because he was the one who said as the day Burrow went down, he's keep him on ice until he's ready to go. We're fine with Jake Browning for a couple weeks. So maybe Jamar Chase should be promoted.
They went all in this year, and I think it's really going to blow up in their face because they could have traded Higgins and gotten something. They could have gotten something for Higgins, and they're not going to because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent coming at the end of the year, and that's they went all in, and I just think you're right. It would have been a big call, but I think it was one you needed to make. And as the head coach,
a notoriously cheap franchise just spent the most amount of money they've ever spent on anything in the family's history. That is going to be a really tough kind of pill for them to swallow. If you have to start signing more free agents, you have to start keeping your own players. Like, they're going to have to spend money to stay the Cincinnati Bengals that we've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I was going to say that with regards to T. Higgins, though, T. Higgins was really quiet in this game, which for the franchise is actually a good thing. Is they proved with Browning, not Burrow, but they can do it without Higgins going off, with using Boyd, with using the other wide receiver's name. Samples actually doing really, really well with
Drew Sample. Yeah,
Drew Sample's doing very well with Browning. If you need a tight end in your fantasy playoffs, that's a name to look at. But I don't know the impact of losing Higgins is going to be that drastic after watching the past couple of weeks. I know he's been hurt a little bit this season. He missed several games, but his impact is not going to be as huge as some people think.
And what this game did, along with a couple of others, was put 6 AFC teams on 7-6.
Yes.
They all play each other too. So that's going to get real interesting.
There is a scenario right now. It is not out of the realm of possibility that 3 teams total could potentially make the playoffs with losing records this year. A lot has to happen for that to happen, but it is a possibility.
I mean, it is a possibility. A lot of possibilities.
Oh no! Oh, we'll get no. We'll when we get to my team. Trust me, I'm delusional because I already know how it's going to work.
I can see your face is already that Zach Galifianakis gif, and like with all the numbers, like I can see it happening.
No, he's more like Charlie Day was always in Philadelphia with the board behind him. It's like, moving on to our next game. The Jacksonville Jaguars going to Cleveland to take on the Browns. This was an interesting one just because after Monday night last week, we all thought like, T-Law's could be done for the rest of the season. High ankle sprain, we thought, okay, maybe he's out for a couple weeks. No, he was back this week, which we all thought was interesting. We were like, that injury against that defense with Myles Garrett, good luck. And now the defense. Now that's not the reason they lost this game. T-Law is not the reason they lost this game. He didn't help, but he's not the sole reason they lost. And he was not good. Like, he went back to 2021 Trevor Lawrence form. Yeah. Main reason they lost because they gave up 350 yards to Joe Flacco in 2023.
Look at Joe Flacco this season compared to last season when he started a couple games for the Jets. He was immobile. Like, that dude, when he looked his age, I don't know what the hell happened, if it was the extra, having so much time off to recover or what. He looks like he did like 6-7 years ago. He's not, I don't think he's at like the peak Flacco, but like just the start of the downturn, he's there. And if he can play like that with this roster, they could go somewhere.
If the Cleveland Browns win a Super Bowl because of Joe Flacco,
just make the Disney movie now. Just make the Disney movie now.
Needs it to happen. There is just a part of me that needs it to happen so badly for the just pure Joe Flacco. You paid $240 million for Deshaun Watson, and Joe Flacco won you a Super Bowl.
That would be so gold.
So beautiful. And the only answer to how well Joe Flacco has looked so far is that I don't know during his downtime if he was like touring with the Rolling Stones and having his blood spun the same way that Keith Richards and Mick Jagger do, because he looks fresh.
Yeah.
And can we also give Kevin Stefanski some flowers now, because that dude has been saddled with just crappy break after crappy break. You can look at Stefanski's face during the press conference when they signed Deshaun Watson. He looked like he was being kidnapped. Yeah, and he did not want any part of this. He's been the good soldier through all the crap that goes on in Cleveland on a weekly basis. And the fact that he's got a guy and he's working with him, he's showing what he can do. I think Stefanski really comes out of this thing looking the best.
There is a legit argument right now for Stefanski to be a coach of the year. There is a legit argument for it.
If they do make the playoffs, which they have a fairly clear path, the rest of their schedule is not that bad. No. And if they do make the playoffs, he's in that conversation at the very least.
Like considering it's amazing considering at the start of the year when they were how badly they were starting. Like Stefanski's going to be the scapegoat for this, just for Deshaun Watson. Like for the Deshaun Watson contracts, Stefanski's going to become their scapegoat, and they're going to fire him for it. And look, Watson gets injured. They've turned this team around. I think Flacco. I think the biggest thing that Flacco's helped, and I'm sorry about this, Mike. He's got an O-line. Like he's actually playing behind an O-line, and he's having time where he's able to look good instead of running for his life like he was at the Jets. And that's I think the biggest difference. Myles Garrett's still playing incredibly for this team. Browns are a scary team. Browns are going to be a scary team this year. They're
doing this without Chubb.
With no Chubb too.
The even crazier thing is they're doing this without legitimately their best offensive player.
Depending who they get week 1 in the playoffs, they're going to upset some people. They're going to upset someone.
This could be a rematch.
It could. This could very well
be a rematch. Yeah,
wild card.
Rematch. Oh yeah, no, good to have him. Honestly, Patrick Mahomes losing to Joe Flacco in the first round of the playoffs, that'd be so goddamn funny.
Or we get a Ravens Browns wild card game. That's the other option.
That would be pretty beautiful. Very, very different styles of play there. But that would be juicy. And remember, the Ravens going to be coming off a brutal. I don't care how bad the Steelers are. They always play tough against the Ravens, and that's the week prior.
We always find ways to beat that team, specifically beat Lamar Jackson. I don't know how we do it, but that's just
and it's very, very unlikely this year that any of the 4 contenders, so like Dolphins, Jags, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, any of them are resting players. They are all going to be playing because that number 1 seed is going to be up until the last week. It is high unless the Ravens pull off the miracle of all miracles and beat that 49ers team in 2 weeks, and they don't lose another game from here on in. They're not like they're going to be. That 1 seed is going to be up for grabs.
Do not argue with Jacob on AFC scenarios because he's been.
Oh yeah, I've got them all in my head right now.
For a long
time. All right. Going to. Sorry, real quick before we get up to Jacksonville. Jacksonville again, model of inconsistency. Like some weeks they'll look really good, some weeks they'll look like this.
But also, why the hell was Trevor Lawrence playing? Like honestly, like that. Why was he playing? Like
yeah, you should rest it. I get it. You don't want to rely on CJ Beathard to win a crucial game. At the same time,
Beathard wasn't 100% either. I think Beathard was just conceding the game because both of them are hurt.
I think the rule of thumb you should have as a head coach or as an organization is if your quarterback gets hurt and they slam their hand on the field like they just lost their season, they're not playing the next week, regardless of how well they feel.
I mean, look, it took him just like 3 days to get out of the field into the locker room. So they didn't turn around and play another game 3 days after that. Come on, that's not fair.
Poor Jacksonville. They didn't even have the cart to drive Trevor Lawrence into the locker room.
The funniest thing where they're just gingerly walking him down the hall. It's like, hey, I'll get to the hospital eventually.
You think of all places to have a golf cart, Florida would be one where they're available. But
let's talk about a game that's not nearly as fun. The Carolina Panthers taking on the New Orleans Saints. Look, the struggles of Carolina have been noted. The struggles of New Orleans have also been noted. Both of these teams, well, Carolina, we didn't expect much at all, but we didn't expect them to be this bad. New Orleans, I mean, they looked good, but Carolina's a fucking doormat. We could go out and beat that team 35-0.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Carolina and I'm like, man, the Commanders could beat them 10-9. So, the fact that the Saints squeaked by them by 30 points, whatever it was still surprising to me because of just how terrible the Saints have looked and how they seemingly have no quarterback play. But I mean, when you go up against Carolina, particularly at this point of the season, Carolina is just trying to get through this thing. They're just trying to finish out the season with individual players' heads held high. The Saints still have something to play for, and that's what you saw on Sunday. So if you're a team and you have Carolina on the schedule and you're a fan of that team, go ahead and that's going to be a dub for you.
We've joked around about like having a meetup of some sort on week 18 for the most meaningless game that you can get into the stadium for nothing. And
Carolina's playing.
Carolina's playing Tampa Bay that week. You can currently get into that game for under 20. I want to see what the get-in price is in 2 weeks.
Honestly, not much to say about this game. It was it's just a bad team beating up on a somehow even worse team.
And the real shame of Carolina is that looks like such an unattractive destination for any head coach worth their salt next year too. Like they may end up with Matt Eberflus.
No, it's like right now they remind me.
Saturday.
They're the Texans 3 years ago when they traded Watson, where it was just no one's taking this gig, so they were just giving it to people desperate for a head coaching job, and then they were going to fire him anyway. Like no one's taking this gig.
Lovie Smith return.
I mean, I don't know who the next D'Amico Ryans would be.
Matt Canada.
It ain't gonna be Matt Canada, okay? He might want to look at his last name as far as places where he could be a coach going forward. But I don't know.
Don't insult the CFL like that. Like I don't want Matt Canada coaching middle school teams.
Actually, I think there is somebody. The Jets defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich is a name to watch for that because he's looking to elevate to a head coach, and that's a gig he can probably land.
Probably gettable.
Yeah, but I think he could land something better. Like there's going to be a lot of head coaching jobs available this offseason, I think, and he could get something better than that gig.
Well, speaking of the Jets, DC, let's talk about their game against the Houston Texans. Now, look, you hold up two. Okay, look, if I held up two pictures of two quarterbacks, one is C.J. Stroud, one is Zach Wilson. I said one of these guys is going to throw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. I know your response would be C.J. Stroud's only going to throw 2 touchdowns. But yeah, this game was, first of all, first half ugly. Like,
it was the unwatchable game of the week in the first half. 100% It was terrible in the first half. I don't know what the hell happened in that Jets locker room.
This was another one of those games where Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson did like a Freaky Friday situation. And Aaron Rodgers, because you cannot convince me that was not Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson's body the way he was playing.
Some of the plays he made with Garrett Wilson, he's never done anything even close to like getting into the windows. That they were on the money throws that like literally you could throw it one place for this catch to be made, and that's where he threw it. I've never seen Zach that precise. Now, granted, it was only for half a game, and this was against a Texans team that has got pretty banged up. That field, that MetLife, really get rid of it. Jeez, and it's the worst field in football. They really, really need to do something.
I'm sorry. Somebody down here might disagree with you.
Well, okay. The field itself.
Not the stadium.
The stadium 100%. Having been to FedEx, yes, FedEx is way worse. But the Jets look like a competent team, and the Texans looked like the team we expected at the beginning of the year.
They look right now like they've got massive injuries, and look, then the CJ Stroud getting concussed, that didn't help. And that's just kind of, unfortunately, the Texans, they've just been riddled with injuries right now. And again, the Jets defense is still very good. It is still a very good defense. And then when they started showing, and I think when the offense showed signs of life, the defense goes, oh my God, we can win this. And they actually play well. And that's, and the thing that the Jets need to figure out is when their offense plays well, the defense lifts, and you go, that is one of the best defenses in football. But when the offense looks like crap, like it always does, that defense just goes, why are we showing up tonight? We can't be bothered.
The thing I hate about this game, I absolutely hate about this game, is now the Jets
Zach Wilson might be the answer.
Well, no, it's not that at all. Like, he's not. But is that the Jets are firmly in no man's land because they are now going to make the playoff push, probably not make the playoffs, and wind up with like the number 15 or 16 overall pick in the draft and not be able to get an offensive lineman again.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I think that playoff push is not necessarily in vain. When you look at their remaining schedule, you have 3 incredibly winnable games.
Yeah.
And
this week is the one.
Yeah, I mean, you face the Dolphins next week. Then coming off a loss the way that the Dolphins lost is going to be tough, but it's also the Dolphins on a short week. Tyreek Hill is not going to be 100%, so they have a chance. The issue I have, though, is that Zach Wilson's career, when he has those great moments, he looked like college highlight film, Zach Wilson, but it's like in golf. It's not a repeatable motion. It's not like he doesn't have the swing. He's a guy that where if you showed up on the first tee and you're going to play 18 holes with this guy, Zach Wilson's handicap is like a 25, right? And then he shoots a 70, and you're like, dude, you're lying about your handicap. It's like, no, he's that inconsistent. So I think you just go ahead and chalk up Miami as a loss because he's probably going to play terrible. But then Washington, Cleveland and I think they close out against the Pats. So those are 3 very winnable games. And all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers keeps rubbing ivermectin on that Achilles and we're in the playoffs.
They have to win. I swap it. I think they win this week, but lose the Browns game.
The Browns game is going to be interesting. In that scenario, that Browns game, it just became way more interesting because that could have if the scenario of the Jets. I don't think the Jets are going to beat Miami this week, but if they do, that Browns game week 17 is going to have huge playoff implications.
And let's just not – I know Joe Flacco is a very experienced starting quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl, but it happens so often with guys who either come in off the street or they're backup quarterbacks. Like, look at Josh Dobbs earlier this year with the Vikings, where you look really good for a couple
of weeks. Josh Dobbs in a second.
Now we have some tape on you, so I think you're going to be able to find out Joe Flacco's weaknesses in a couple of weeks. And if they don't, if Flacco continues to look as well as he has, then – you're right, Jacob. Give Stefanski Coach of the Year. Give it to him right then on the field.
Well, remember, too, Flacco was on the Jets last year. He started the year as the starter, ended the year as the starter. They know Flacco. So, they know the playbook on him. So, it's hard to say. But, again, they got to get past this Miami game first. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's all a moot point. But, if that scenario does happen, that game is interesting because, I think the Commanders game, they win, and New England is going to probably want to lose unless what the Sports Illustrated report is true, that they've already agreed to let go of Belichick right after that game. If that's the case, then Belichick might want to go out on a win.
But not only that, he wants to go out screwing the Jets over and beating the Jets and screwing the Patriots over.
Yeah, and I will make this point now because Chance mercifully asked me to be on the show during a Washington bye week, so I don't have to talk about a game.
Oh, no, I didn't ask you to be here on Washington bye week. You were busy the week I asked you to be here.
Look, I'm a busy guy, we'll say, except conveniently when my team doesn't play. We can still beat people, okay? We're still capable. We're still a semi-competent football team in spurts, and Sam Howell is our guy. And our defense is atrocious, but we can score points to keep up with a New York Jets or look, we play the Rams. I'm going to see the Rams in person this weekend, and that could be a tough game for our secondary. But then we play the 49ers and the Cowboys, so we have to beat the Jets, basically.
Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, Mark. That might be the unwatchable game of the week. But
hey, you and me, save me some champagne in that bottle, okay?
Moving on to our actual game of the week. We had to get this one to Los Angeles versus Baltimore.
What a game! This was exciting.
This was fun, and I got to watch it with Rams fans. One's named Craig. You may know him as Barbarian. One is named Mark. You may know him as Moose. So I had a bunch of them meet up at Barney's, and we watched the game. And it was really fun because, I thought the Rams would be competitive. I didn't think that they were going to get in there and damn near win the thing.
I thought they were going to for a hot minute there. I thought they had the game.
I'm watching that game, and my take going into that game was that I think that the Rams have enough juice, and their schedule allows them to get just enough W's to get into the playoffs.
Get the 7th seed.
So, sort of like my dream scenario in the playoffs would be the Rams and Stafford go to Detroit on Wild Card Weekend, and that would be so Lionsy for them to lose to Matthew Stafford a playoff game. But before you get there, you have to look better than the Rams have. Towards the beginning of the year, they did that. The Rams showed that they can play with anybody. Their offense looks like it's getting its firepower back. So this is a team that could scare everybody in the NFC playoffs if they get in.
Cooper Kupp played arguably his best game of the season.
100% his best game of the season. No, arguably, it's 100% his best game of the season.
With him playing like that and Puka just doing what he's done all year, that's a terrifying tandem.
I will say though, this game did contain my Stunks Player of the Week, Action Jackson, baby. Holy shit, he was incredible.
Yeah,
he was off the charts in this game. I'm not arguing that point at all for Stunks of the Week. Yeah, I'll definitely say Jackson. I will also give a lot of credit to the Ravens offensive line in that fourth quarter. There were 4 or 5 plays that Jackson had like 10 seconds to throw the ball, which was insane.
Before we got there, it was exciting to watch Lamar in the first quarter just kind of stick with the game plan, go with the playbook, and then in the second quarter, he started to get that look that we love when great athletes get it. He started to get that Kobe look where it's like, if you're going to make me do this by myself, I'm going to do this by myself. Started scrambling a little more, started doing those runs that any other quarterback is sacked 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he wiggles out for 8 yards, almost a first down. That's the kind of stuff that we love seeing. If that, I just give me that Lamar for one playoff run, and I want to see how deep he can get.
Yeah.
The thing with the Rams, though, what we're seeing is if they play a team that doesn't have a great pass rush, they actually play really well. Like Stafford's still got it, and he's got 2 incredible weapons that he can use. That if he's got the time, they're a good team. And it's just unfortunate that the 3 of the best the 3 best teams in the NFC have some of the toughest pass rushers in the game right now. So that's going to be really interesting if they do make the playoffs. Baltimore don't have a great pass rush. Baltimore don't have a great defense in general at the moment. So the Lions, if they end up playing the Lions, that could get very interesting. And the Rams, the back half of the Rams schedule, it's pretty nice for that. No, like it's
Mark. This week I think it's a get right game for them.
Yeah, well, okay, they go Commanders, Saints, Giants, 49ers. Now, obviously, the 49ers game is going to be tough, but that might not be they
might not play everybody.
And that's the other thing. The 49ers may have already clinched number 1 going into that weekend. Like if they win out except for the last week, they're still the number 1 seed because of tiebreakers.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind Dallas has a really tough schedule for the rest of the season. Yep. The Eagles do not. So it's the Eagles, I think the 49ers have to worry about in that regard. But in the situation that they are, if they've got 1 clinched, the Rams might have just a bulldozing win in 18.
And I'm trying to think. I mean, the league gets funny with this the last week of the regular season, but you could have a scenario where the Niners have to play their starters based on what time the games are, because you could have because the Cowboys play at FedEx Field. So have fun with that turf. If I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm resting my starters just because of how bad that field is. But there is a scenario where they have to win and San Francisco has to lose. The Cowboys get number 1 seed. But depending on what time that game is, the Niners could watch it and be like, oh, okay, the Cowboys won. Now we have to play our starters. Now we have to get a lead, then we can take everybody out. Other than that, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm playing Brock Purdy for at least a half to get him just to keep him regular, but Debo, there's no way I'm playing Debo or Christian McCaffrey unless I absolutely have to. Week 18.
That Cowboys game feels prime Sunday 11 o'clock. 49ers Rams feels absolutely like a Saturday night game, like one of the primetime games on the Saturday where they're like, hey, these ones still kind of matter. They're not the big ones that matter, but they kind of do.
Sunday night.
Oh, we'll get to Sunday night. We'll get to that Sunday night game.
You're going to get the Sunday night game.
Well, given we talked about this really great game, we now have to go to the opposite spectrum. Our unwatchable game of the week, easily
just 1 pick,
No, Minnesota versus Vegas.
I want to rename this the train wreck game of the week because I couldn't stop watching it because of how bad it was.
Let me just. I'm going to give you a summary of this game. So this is every drive in this game. So we had punt, missed field goal, punt, fumble, punt, field goal, interception, end of game.
I so wanted it to go to overtime 0-0. I was rooting for it like almost as much as I was rooting for, as much as I'm a Jets fan. I'm like, I want to see history today. I want to see this be the worst game. I immediately messaged cousin Ryan. I'm like, are you at this game? And unfortunately he wasn't, because I'm like, this would have been the most hilarious game to have ever attended.
Oh, anybody who attended this game should immediately be refunded.
Had to.
There's a lot of fun to be had at Allegiant Stadium. I know from personal experience you can still have a good time, even if the game is terrible. But this was, there's no other way to say it. This was the movie 43 of games. Like I like to come on here, Chance, and be prepared. Okay, I like to have something to say about every game. I'll be honest with all of our lovely viewers. I did not watch one highlight of this game. I did not watch one play of this game. But I will give you a fun factoid. Way back in the day, we should have known this was going to happen way back in the early 70s, because when these two teams met in a Super Bowl, they played the halftime score of that game, Raiders 2, Vikings 0.
Yep.
Yeah, This game is like looking at a lawn that's been painted, so it's like watching grass grow and paint dry simultaneously.
You know what this game was? This game was every conversation you get into with like somebody's husband at a Christmas party, where it's like, just bail me out of it. Just somebody come over here and rescue me. I don't want to talk to this person.
Yeah. This is the first game to end in a 3-0 final score since 2007. I know, and I watched that game too, because funny enough, the Steelers were playing that one.
But that was a terrible weather game.
Yeah, that was played in a monsoon. This was played in a dome. What's your excuse?
Yeah, there's no excuse in this one.
So the crazy thing is, the Raiders put up a 5-minute highlight video of their 0-3 loss on their official page.
I will admit, I'm with Ellis. I didn't watch this game because my heart was in my chest watching a different game.
Right.
So yeah,
I was watching Red Zone and just waiting for it. I'm like,
I wasn't on Red Zone because I didn't care about the 3 other games. I was like, nope, this is the one I care about. I sped home from LA to watch this game. So yeah, I did not care about this game at all.
Yeah. I think this game, look, last week kind of marked it, but this marks the official end of the Josh Dobbs insanity run.
He's done.
When you get benched for Nick Mullins, it's over for you. It's over.
He might end up coming back in 2 weeks just because Mullins might play freaking awfully this week.
And they're going to make the playoffs. Like, this Vikings team somehow is going to back into the playoffs.
Probably.
Yeah. This game was awful. It was an affront to football. This might be an unwatchable game of the year. Like if anything is worse than this, I'd be genuinely impressed.
It's the worst game of the year. There's no conversation. This is the worst game of the year. The Jets-Patriots game was probably prior to this, I think, was the worst game of the year. This overtook it.
Yeah, it's like it might be like in the top 10 worst things of the year.
The top 10 worst sandwich of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I'm surprised you took the time to type that graphic out, Chance. Like, why didn't you just do MIN at L like veg and like just
Well, in fairness, I typed these out a week ahead of time, so I don't know.
It was already there.
What a studious young man you are.
Up next, we have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the San Francisco 49ers. This is a game that would have gave the Niners a sweep on Seattle for the season. And yeah, like this is, again, when everything is going right for San Francisco, they're near impossible to stop. But everything has to go right.
Seahawks have a lot of heart, man. The Seahawks are not an easy out by any means. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They show up, and they just had the misfortune of being stuck in a division with this juggernaut where any one of 6, 7 offensive weapons can take a game over and beat you. And then, oh, by the way, you have to tussle with that defense. Like when they're quick on all cylinders.
They also have to start Drew Lock because Geno Smith is injured.
Hey, Drew Lock did not look bad. Drew Lock hasn't looked like the worst version of Drew Lock that we saw in Denver the last.
It's only one game though. It's only one game. Give it time.
but it's also kind of hard when on the first drive, McCaffrey runs 70 plus yards, and you just you're just like, yep, all right, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Like that must have been really, really, really demoralizing as a team. Just like, yep, that's what we're in for today. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, this is again an absolute clinic offensively by the Niners, even defensively, mostly because DK Metcalf decided to be an idiot and get himself ejected from the game.
I think DK was smart. I think he's like, I'm just going to go ahead and beat the traffic here. I think I might know what it is. But it is interesting to see the Niners are so far into the Seahawks' heads now. They game planned that exact scenario.
What I was about to say.
I mean, they literally practiced how to get in DK's head to get him ejected, and it worked. Like, come on, man.
I've seen people complain about this, say, "Oh, it's unsportsmanlike." It's not. It's like, sorry, don't have a player who's like that. Then, like, don't have a player who on the field is a liability for your team. Teams, and not like in the NBA, teams do it to Draymond. They do it to get in Draymond's head to get him ejected because they know you can get in Draymond's head. And what do? He gets ejected, and they get into their heads, and they piss him off. Like it's what they do.
They used to do it to teams used to do it to Bill Romanowski all the time. They were like, just get Romanowski to spit in our face, and they'll get kicked out of the game, and we're good. We have no middle linebacker to worry about.
I think that the DK versus the 49ers defense, like I don't think it's any one individual player, but it's gonna overtake Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore as like the there's gonna be a fight guaranteed in this game or the next few years, because the fact that when I read the report, I'm sure it's the same report you read, Mark. Like when I read that, I'm like, that's brilliant, on the 49ers, that they game planned for it.
It's smart, but look, if I'm a Seahawks fan, it's not the darkest of days right now, because you still have hope for a postseason run, and you just like that. That's the thing with DK. It's like the same. Here's the thing about Draymond is that after the whole nut kick incident in the NBA Finals, Draymond did learn how to hey, now it's the playoffs, and I'm still going to get technical fouls, but I cannot do this to my team anymore. Right. DK has to learn that, because right now he is more sensitive than a Kevin Durant burner account. Like he's just you can get under his skin way too easily, as long as he really sucks it up in the playoffs and is like, I'm just going to play my game for my team. The Seahawks could still be a factor.
Yeah. Moving on to our next game, we had the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
You did it, Jake. You did it.
It's been a rough week for the Bills. I'm not going to lie. It was a rough week. I've read that entire 3-part article about Sean McDermott, and it's scathing. I actually went through and read all of it. It's not good at all. And then for McDermott, so before we even get into the game, for McDermott to basically come out and admit to the 9/11 story, which basically just then confirms the entire article, that ain't good. That's really not a good way to start going into this game.
When you have to address it like that, and I mean, you see the highlights near. I don't like making somebody have to apologize again for something they already apologized for in 2019, but it comes out in the context of that article. Jacob, to you, read it, because I read the article too. What was I know that you never compare it. The comparison was so stupid. But what was the thing that was the most damning, just as far as this guy's my head coach in the article from your perspective? Was it that comparison?
No,
because it did seem a little like a hit piece from somebody inside the building too.
It did, but then you also think how many there's that one. The most damning one is the one no one's really talking about, and it's the truck story. And it's the truck story is one where it's a coach went out and bought a truck, and the players were all really happy for him. And McDermott just went off on them and saying, you can't do this. You can't be happy and excited for him. And he was creating an us versus them mentality within the building. And it's just that one. I was like, oh, that's not good. The culture inside the building was really not great. Which, is also, it's hard because I like McDermott and what he has done inside this building, and going from Rex Ryan to where we are now is a huge improvement and a huge lift. And you cannot fault McDermott for that. But I also think he has run his course. And I think he has gotten to a point where it's very clearly and obvious the team needs to move on, and him as a coach is starting to lose the locker room. That being said, then this game happened. And I think, look, this was a great win. This was a win we needed. It was a massive win we needed. We win this game, we're still alive for the playoffs. And now we don't have to win this game against the Cowboys on the weekend. That was we're playing the Cowboys next week, and that was the game that I'm the most terrified of. And now we don't have to win it. I would like to, and it will very much help because it's my birthday, and that will be a great birthday present. But I'd like
you to win it too. I'd love for you to beat the Cowboys.
My father-in-law is a big Cowboys fan, so this house is going to get real interesting real quick. But now I'm not like petrified if we don't. That being said, we weren't good. We were good for a half. That's it. We nearly the final 5 minutes of this game was the typical McDermott's scared and he's going to throw this game away. And it was, you could just see it coming where when we needed a first down. We had to force Kansas City to waste their timeouts, and instead threw the ball 3 times. We didn't run the ball. We didn't force them once to try and waste it. He went for the kill shot instead of playing smart football, which was just get a first down. You get a first down here, it's over. That's the game. You have won it. But he went for a kill shot and it didn't pay off. And then we had to rely on our defense, which has not been good ever since the injuries. And I was sitting there going, Kansas City's going to go down and score a touchdown because that's
they did.
And then they did.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. First of all, I know a Vic. I wish I did, but I don't. Kansas City pulled off maybe the greatest lateral that we've ever seen.
Yeah,
of all time.
That was not
lateral straight to Kadarius Toney.
You young kids are showing your age. That was not the greatest lateral of all time.
That I've seen.
Frank Wycheck, rest in peace. It is still the Music City Miracle. But look, here's my quick take on the games, and I'll work backwards. Is that offsides? It's adorable that everybody's acting like this is the first time ever that's been called. It actually happened to my team on Sunday Night Football back when we were competing with the New York Giants for a playoff spot.
Oh, was that with Terry McLaurin? Like, look at the ref. He's like, "Am I good?" I'm like,
Terry McLaurin checked with the ref. Okay, Tony did not. Kadarius Toney did not. And I went back and I was watching Orlovsky, who watched the game, and like Kadarius Toney was lining up offsides all game long, never checked with the ref. McLaurin last year checked with the ref, got the okay, and they still called it, which is why I'll get over it eventually. But like, just to see, like, it was very inspiring from like, if you're Blundin's perspective here, because you saw a team rally around their head coach who had a really tough week, and so I think that McDermott still has the locker room. If there's anything that's going to lose the locker room, it's not going to be that article coming out. It's going to be the way that they manage the clock down the stretch. It's almost like, oh, man, if only you had an offensive coordinator that you didn't fire a couple weeks ago in a panic that could have maybe walked you through that a little bit. This whole thing the last couple weeks is making Ken Dorsey look really good, which is, maybe he's not the reason why the offense was so ineffective.
I mean, I've never thought Ken Dorsey was a scapegoat. I said it the day it happened. He was a scapegoat because McDermott couldn't make the actual person who made the mistake the scapegoat by cutting him because of who it was, and because of everything that happened last year. He was the one who was on the field when he shouldn't have been. But that's I can't say that.
You can't cut Damar Hamlin after he died on the field of play.
Yeah, you can't cut Damar Hamlin this year. You just can't. So Ken Dorsey had to be the scapegoat. Look, I agree. The offside call. Look, if they didn't call it, I would have sat here and gone, great. That's another last minute loss that we've had this year where Josh Allen has done his job. With a minute left, he has given the Bills the lead, and and McDermott's defense hasn't been able to finish the job off. And that it would have been the 5th time this year that it's happened. And instead, we got I think we got a lucky call. I can the first to admit it. I think it was a lucky call. I don't agree that, I don't agree with the people who are going, they only threw the flag because of the play. You can see the flag go as soon as the ball snapped. There's this yellow thing that comes flying over, and you're like, oh, yep, okay, so this is going to be a flag.
Now, I will say on this game, I saw something that I have never seen, which is Mahomes lose it. Like, I have never seen Mahomes react that way after a loss.
That felt like that was a little bit of last week too.
I also think
Mahomes was such a good sport about it last week. He was such a class act about something that any one of us would have gone to that podium and been fined more than Shohei Ohtani's salary can pay for. But Mahomes, it all came out. I think that was so much pent up stuff from so many. I'm his therapist. I'm like, 5% of that was that call, and 95% was everything leading up to it.
But not only that,
Mahomes all day. Like, yeah, I get it. I'd be pissed off too.
But I also think it's the receiving room. I think it's another fucking mistake by our receiving room. Yeah. And that the biggest regret the Chiefs are going to have all season, not signing Hopkins, not going and getting Hopkins at the start of the year. That is going to be the single biggest regret they have this year. And if they don't win the Super Bowl, whoever made that decision is going to have to wear it. Of why didn't you go get Hopkins for nothing? You could have had him for nothing. And
how aggressively do they go after Higgins or Evans in this?
Pretty aggressively.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty aggressively. Yep. Now, but are they going to be able to see? Here's the problem, though. Are they going to be able to afford them? Last year, you were going to get Hopkins for nothing.
On a scale of 1 to Ray Rice, how aggressive?
Oh,
but Higgins is going to cost you a lot of money. Yeah. Evans is going to cost you a lot of money. Like, they're not going to be cheap free agents compared to what Hopkins was last year, because Hopkins was someone that everyone figured, oh, he's done. He's not done. He's proving that he's not. So yeah.
The other question I have, there are, I believe, 4 or 5 projected first-round wide receivers. I don't think any of them fall to the Chiefs where they're going to be picking. Do you make the aggressive move in the draft?
They might have to. They might just go up and go, here's 3 firsts or something, because they want. Because look, Kelsey's already talked about it. I think he's done next year.
Close to done, yeah.
I think if they win a Super Bowl this year, he's done. I just don't think they can win a Super Bowl this year. But I think he's won. I think he's got one more and he's done. That's it. Like, he started to talk about it. I think his brother's done at the end of this year. They're starting to build. I think they're starting to build a life beyond football.
And they've got a brand now.
That's what it was. They're starting to build that to the point where football's now becoming a distraction. So,
they have a future already. And rumor has it, and again, this is a hot take that, unsubstantiated, but I think Travis is dating someone who's a little successful who can pay some of those bills. But if you like the thing that not a lot of people are talking about, I'm glad Jeremy Miller in the chat brought it up, is that the Chiefs also lost Eric Bieniemy. And I think that Eric Bieniemy is part of the reason why, even if he wasn't calling the plays. And I know that they made such a big deal about that with every job interview for a head coaching opportunity that Bieniemy went on. You still have an offensive coordinator who is top notch. I mean, I've had my issues with how he's run the Washington scheme, but he also was dealt a hand that is nowhere close to the hand that he had in Kansas City. So I expected some growing pains with Sam Howell and with a very Patrick offensive line in Washington.
That offensive line is putrid. Putrid offensive line.
Yeah. The Chiefs miss Eric Bieniemy, and this little stretch is
if only you could have re-signed the best offensive lineman in football. Would have helped.
The Eric Bieniemy thing, the other part of all of that as well is, from all reports, he was the bad cop. He was the one who would get everyone on track, who would make sure that Kadarius Toney could hang on to the ball, would not line up offsides. And Mahomes doesn't want to be the bad cop. We know Andy Reid isn't a bad cop coach. Like he doesn't like being the bad cop. He likes being the guy that everyone is willing to go to. And Matt Nagy, I think, is terrified to be a bad cop because of what happened.
Kelce tried to be a bad cop for one day in training camp and then apologized for it.
Exactly. Like, so they don't have anyone who is setting a standard and enforcing that standard. Now, they're being bailed out because their incredibly talented quarterback in Patrick Mahomes is able to bail them out, but he is clearly starting to get frustrated and is still you are seeing. I think that's what that blow up was all about. Was he is so frustrated with the locker room and what is happening, but he can't say it to them. I will give him all the credit in the world for coming out today and admitting I was wrong. I shouldn't have said it. I overreacted. And he apologized to Josh, and I thought, you know what? I'll give you that one because this isn't normal. We all know this isn't normal for Mahomes. And look, you'll have bad weeks. The way Josh handled it, I thought was awesome.
They're, him and Josh Allen are golf buddies. That's fine. I get it. But the thing with Mahomes is as much as I loved watching Netflix's Quarterback when it came out. Man, I wish we had Mahomes this coming season. I wish we had Mahomes this coming season.
Two things.
Yeah, when Kirk Cousins, I'll be quick. When Kirk Cousins came on the Manning cast the other night, my wife had gone to bed. I texted her and I'm like, because we watched the show too, and she absolutely adored how dorky he is.
Yep.
And Kirk Cousins coming onto Manning cast, that man, I want to call NFL football games after watching Quarterback because of how ridiculously over the top dorky he is. I just want to hear what's going to come out of his mouth because you just don't know.
Two things we're going to move on. One.
Oh my God!
Sorry. Reflex.
A 10-minute delayed reflex. Just want to say that.
Secondly, with this win and the Jets win over the Texans, the New England Patriots have now been officially eliminated from playoff contention.
We did something to New England finally.
Hey, look, I'm happy for all you Patriot haters out there. Don't forget how that movie ends.
I firmly believe he's not going to come back and shoot me in the dick. Patriots not going to come back and shoot me in the dick, although they very well could. But
I don't know. They could get fucking Caleb Williams. So we're at that point, guys.
Good. Up next, final afternoon game we're talking about. The Denver Broncos taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Did Quentin Johnson drop anything in this game? I think he did, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
He had a bad drop, didn't he?
This game was. I saw this one coming a mile away. This was not the injury to Herbert. Obviously, you couldn't call that, but the Broncos defense was ready for this Chargers offense, and the Chargers, they are by far the biggest underachievers of this NFL season.
Of the past couple seasons,
but this season in particular, they're looking like they might finish with less than 6 wins. Who would have predicted that prior to the beginning of the season?
Yeah, we're at a point. Staley's got to go. There's just no work. There's just nothing.
He should have been fired already.
Yes, he should have.
There's nothing else you can say for it. Staley's got to go. Staley's the problem. It's not the Taylor Swift reference, but yeah, you are the problem. It's you, and you need to go. Go.
I mean, I don't know how you win a locker room back after. I'm still not over the game in Vegas where all you have to do is just not do what you did and you go to the playoffs. Yeah. And he still managed to F that up. So I think Staley should have been done. At any point they want to fire him, they can have at it. Mm-hmm. With Denver, I mean, I am hard pressed to think about a turnaround that is defensively from 70 points scored on you to the way that D is looking now, going into the playoffs where the Broncos still have a very legit shot to sneak in. I was ready to say Sean Payton was overrated and not worth the money, but holy crap, he kind of looks like a really good head coach.
70 points against them and a loss to Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
within 3 weeks.
Yeah,
he did lose to us too. I mean, I don't want to throw my own team in the but
that was a great game. I loved watching that game, but
that was week 2, week 3, week 4, and then since then they had the bye, I think, and then they just went, all right, we're fixing this. They had the close game against the Chiefs, then they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah,
they not only are they almost going to win the division, next week kind of decides it. Because they could if the Chiefs lose to the Bengals on Christmas Day, on New Year's Day, which I don't think it's in a likelihood, but it's possible.
Very possible.
They both play the exact same teams outside of the Bengals, and the Broncos play the Lions. Right now, I think the Broncos have got this game against the Lions.
It's so interesting to look back on their season and kind of figure out when exactly the turning point was. The Thursday night game is an interesting kind of study because I was working in New York that week, and I got in, and my first round of shows were that Thursday night, and so I always want to pay attention to an NFL game if it's on, but I just kind of had the score, and I saw. And it was one of those weird Thursday night games. Like the Chiefs won, but it was like they didn't really think about it. That might have been the turning point where the Broncos just kind of looked at each other and been like, "Hey, look, we can play with anybody."
Yeah. Well, I already said the week before the next one, like the second Broncos game, I came on this and I was like, Broncos are going to win that game, and they're going to win it handily because Chiefs are looking forward to the Dolphins game, and the Broncos are a better team now.
Mm-hmm.
They've started to develop into a better team, and. Look, we're gonna see what happens. Right now, unfortunately for the Chargers, Herbert's out for the season.
They're done. They're cooked. They're cooked.
They're done.
Very nice. Very nicely done. Do not play that same sound effect for my fantasy team. Not in the. We have a league that I've been toast for a couple of weeks. In my other league, the Comedy Store League, I'm in first place, but my quarterback is Justin Herbert. So,
ouch.
Sam Howell's the backup, and so now he's in the starting role. So I might just get a little Washington win, even in the season that we've been having.
Hey, Sam Howell's been my second because we've got a super flex.
He was my quarterback too to go into the playoffs. I had to pick up Matt Stafford.
I've had Dak and Sam Howell, and they have
funny. At one point I had Russell Wilson, but I dropped.
He's in first place in the What the Show leagues in the Superflex. So
there you go.
Thank you, Sam Howell.
I picked up Stafford today, and so it'll be. So I'm going to the game on Sunday. The Rams Commanders. So one of those quarterbacks will be my starting quarterback. Because we all know that nobody loves anything more than hearing about somebody else's fantasy team. Isn't that right, viewers? Isn't it so exciting?
That was great.
Always.
Well, it's more fun than having to hear about this game. Sunday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas.
I called it.
I will say though, look, Eagles. Look, they've played some very high stakes, high emotional games the past couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. Granted, they could have had it against the Cowboys. There's one key thing that undid them in this game. Fumbles.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of fumbles. Three of their best offensive players all had fumbles within the red zone. Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith all had a fumble inside of 20.
This game was very frustrating for me because I watched the first quarter and then I had tickets to go see Die Hard on the big screen, which is awesome, and you should totally take that.
I did go to that. I went to that on Friday.
It is so goddamn good on the big screen. And then I get out and I'm excited to go home and watch the last 3 quarters of this epic clash. And
it was over.
Just got so out of hand so quick, and I hate saying how good Dallas looks because I despise them with every fiber of my being. But if I'm just looking at Team A and Team B, we could be headed for one of those like mid-90s NFC Championship game kind of Steve Young versus Troy Aikman shows that were Madden and Summer. It was great football. We could be heading for one of those games.
I think right now what this game just did was put the 49ers in the Super Bowl, because I don't think Cowboys can beat the 49ers. I just don't. I don't think they can. But I think the Cowboys can beat the Eagles, and they're going to have to play each other in the divisional. And I think that's just what this game did.
The thing is, though, Eagles can also beat the Cowboys. It goes both ways.
I know, but it could also. But here's the thing: what this game has now done is now exposed that the Eagles could end up with not winning the division.
Yeah, this game to me, and you couple this with what happened at the end of the Chiefs game, it looked like two teams who just had to play longer than anybody else did last year, and there's still an emotional expenditure that you put out. You can only burn so many calories, and I would not be – I'll text you guys before the playoffs start, but I would not be shocked at all if both of the teams in the Super Bowl last year go from being the Super Bowl favorites this year, which they were 5-6 weeks ago, even more recent than that, to two teams that lose in the divisional round.
Yeah,
maybe the wild card round.
I can't see Chiefs
losing
the
the
wild
Eagles. They're not. They haven't gone that far.
I'll give you that. The wild card round for the Eagles. Yeah, if they're
the biggest problem right now is look, I don't believe in the Lions at all. I think the Lions are going to lose week in the wild card, and because of that, the number 2 seed that I've always said is the better seed to get is now suddenly going to have to play the Cowboys or the Eagles. The number 2 is going to have to play the 5th seed instead of who it was going to be the number 1 seed. So that's going to have an impact, and suddenly the number 2 seed is going to have to play both, whereas it's always been number 1 was going to have to play both, because some team's going to have to play both of them, and you don't want it to be the Eagles. If you're the Eagles, you don't want to have to play both of them right now. Whoever is, you want to be able to not have to play both Cowboys and 49ers, or you don't. And so, but
the Cowboys are also really good at one thing, and one thing in particular, and that's looking awesome one week. And then
I agree with that.
Completely crapping the bed the next week. Yep. They're like the sine cosine wave that I'm sure Chance aced his test on earlier today. I'm
really hoping
it goes so low.
I'm really hoping for that this week. But there's 2 things I do want to say about this game that I think look, we all don't like the Cowboys, but Dak's MVP right now.
Yes.
I think Dak is the MVP right now. And I think Mike McCarthy deserves some flowers. I actually do think he does, because what changed? They got rid of Kellen Moore. How good has the Cowboys offense looked, and how shit has the Chargers offense looked?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's all right. I don't want to give Mike McCarthy all these flowers, but what's the difference this year? Mike McCarthy's the one calling the plays, and they have looked electric. They have looked like a scary team.
McCarthy started to use more concepts that Kellen Moore used last year. They're just more effective this year around. And I think that whatever sort of, elixir that McCarthy and Dak are sharing in the locker room is working, because they are so in sync with one another right now. And you're right, Dak. I mean, I'd love to find an argument for Tyreek Hill or McCaffrey or some non-quarterback. But if you're just looking at who's playing the best quarterback right now,
it's Dak.
That's the answer.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I have one thing to say about this game. One thing only. NBC, I hate you for pointing it out. I've known this for weeks. I cannot watch the Cowboys seriously anymore because of, here we go, every single snap. So, and they had to focus on it, and I can no longer watch a Cowboys game and not just start laughing every time the Dak calls that cadence.
Dude, he does so many weird, funny things, from like the hip thrust in the pregame to the little
cha-cha he does.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott's snap count is the Burger King jingle of snap counts.
Yes, thank you.
Don't
Chance,
play
you
it.
better not.
Don't play it, Chance.
No, don't you dare.
I'm not gonna do it. Mostly because I don't think I have the clip loaded.
Don't worry, it's fresh in everybody's mind, I'm sure.
Yo.
But anyways, moving on to our Monday doubleheader. First of which we had the Green Bay Packers versus the New York Giants. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Lamar Jackson was not Stonks of the week. Stonks individual of the week is this guy.
Yes.
Not Tommy DeVito. This guy next to him.
Yep.
Who apparently, like, they say is his agent, and I'd say bullshit.
So Peyton Manning came out today and said that he had met him before because he was the long snapper from one of the Pro Bowls he played in his agent. So apparently it is legitimate.
I'm like, okay, there's no way he dressed like this because like he's clearly like leaning into the meme.
Dude.
I think clearly. I think that the meme is the only way they know he's going to get paid. So if he's his agent, you do that. That's
yeah, no.
You went into this, and you never have to pay for a hoagie in New York for the rest of your life. This is it. You know, again, I'm not a Giants. I actually hate the Giants, but it's fun to watch little things like this pop up. But just learn from your history, everybody. Even this season, learn from the past or not. Okay, learn from New York.
No, literally. Like I was texting a buddy of mine who's a massive Giants fan. And just like maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but Tommy Cutlets is pretty good. I'm just like, we literally just had this conversation with Daniel Jones.
Yeah. This is momentum. This is pure adrenaline and momentum with him, I think, right now. And the other shoe's going to drop.
And like the Packers aren't a bad team, but for whatever reason, the Giants know how to beat the Packers. They just can. They just beat the Packers. So they've been playing bad teams. In 2 weeks, they got to go up against the Eagles twice. You're gonna get exposed then. You're gonna be like, oh, yep, this is Tommy. Okay.
The Giants are going to beat the Eagles one of those games, and I'll tell you why. It doesn't matter who the Giants quarterback is. Doesn't matter who's playing for the Giants. The Giants do this late in the season. They just hang around, and they're not going to make a playoff push, but they're going to beat somebody that they're not supposed to beat. And I think that the way the Eagles are trending. I think that, there may be enough cutlets in the world to get one last gasp of DeVito sanity before it's all said and done. And I think it could be against the Eagles.
God.
Yeah. We're still. We're gonna put your hands up.
I'll give it to him.
Respect.
I'll give it to him. Yeah.
On the side of the Packers, though, what the hell? Because they had this. They had this, but a defensive collapse happened, and Tommy DeVito beat them. Tommy DeVito.
And not only Tommy DeVito, it was 4 plays and 4 incredible passes. Like it was just like, how did you he went down the field really well. He looked like Mahomes in the 13 seconds. Like
I was going to say Eli.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He was like Eli in the clutch there.
Yeah. And I hate to say it, Jacob, but we all know who's calling the shots now in New York, and it looks like the guy was pretty good at doing it in Buffalo too. So
yeah. I know. Josh Allen misses him. One of these, one of these days, a defensive-minded coach who has got a winning record and has taken their team to a wild card or a divisional, and everyone loves, is going to get fired because the offensive coordinator is going to go to another gig otherwise.
Yeah, right.
It's going to happen. It's going because it's too often happens, and they're just going to go. We cannot lose the offensive coordinator, and they're going to fire the head coach, even though he shouldn't be fired. Because I can do if we do that after the 13 seconds game, which would have probably destroyed all morale as well, but we may have made the Super Bowl last year. We may have been able to go on a bit of a run because we wouldn't have had the defensive lapses. Josh Allen wouldn't have played as poorly as he did in that middle period. I think it would have been very different.
All right. Speaking of 13 seconds, give me a 13-second TO because somebody's at the door again and the queen gets what she wants. I'll be right back. All right.
Can I just say though, can we stop with these same time double headers in prime time? I hated that. I really, really hated that they had both on at the same time.
I actually was kind of mixed on this because I watched the Manningcast. Admittedly, I watched the Manningcast and them bouncing back and forth. It was weird because the two games did oftentimes go to commercial at the same time, which, like, what's the likelihood of that?
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, but at the same time, I get what you're saying. Like, if you're somebody who's, I'm a sadist who watches most of the Thursday night games, regardless.
Oh, I watch most of them.
I will say, I'm going to admit something that is going to be very controversial. I don't mind Troy Buck and Troy Aikman.
Where's leave the stream.
Bitch, you gotta kick me out.
Yeah, no, like
I genuinely do not mind Buck and Aikman. I don't know why people like rub them the wrong way. People like they rub people the wrong way.
There's a lot worse commentators in the NFL. There is a lot worse commentators.
They're not the bottom of the barrel right now, but they're close.
I'll take them over certain other ones that have called games.
I'll take over Al Michaels because Al Michaels sounds like he wants to go home. Like free Al Michaels.
Give me more Rich Eisen. I know that the NFL Network doesn't get.
We're getting 3 of them on Saturday. So.
Yeah, so he's calling one of them, I think.
Yeah, I think he's calling the Colts. I think he's calling your boys, actually. I think he's calling the Colts Steelers.
Yeah, he is. All right, Mike's back. We were delaying because I wanted to get to our last game, which is our upset of the week. Now, it's not in magnitude. Like the Titans beating the Dolphins isn't that big enough compared to what else we've had. It's how they lost.
Did it? Yeah.
But not only this is a huge loss. This is massive for the Dolphins. This, and I was saving it for. I was going to save it for this game. I believe this is going to cost the Dolphins a playoff spot. I don't think the Dolphins make the playoffs anymore.
Wow.
I think they missed the playoffs because they lost this game. But we'll talk about the end of the game, and then I'll get into my delusional theory.
Yeah. So look, the Dolphins had this pretty well in hand. I think they had like a 17-point lead, a 14-point lead with 3 minutes to go. Teams with this lead have been like, okay, bottom line, no one's ever lost a game like this.
Yeah.
But it happened. How lapse in coverage here, bad penalty there. Again, so many things with that defense going wrong all at the same time. While a lot of things going right for Tennessee at also the same time.
That Hopkins reception was like
incredible.
That was incredible.
Look, occasionally a team does take on the personality of their city, and I feel like Miami is that kind of place where as soon as you can get out of work on Friday, you're not just going home and chilling. You're going to a nightclub and you're partying, okay? Mm-hmm. And this team, you could see the demeanor on the sideline where they knew this game was over. And that's the failure of it, coupled with the fact that when they needed to make a drive to win the game, they had a very hobbled Tyreek Hill. And they just weren't prepared to be put in that scenario. Particularly because they get, no offense, they do get the Jets next week. And but that game, Jacob, the final game of the regular season is the Dolphins and the Bills, but it's the Bills going to the Dolphins' place.
That's the Sunday night game. It has to be.
So here is where, all right, this is my delusional theory, and this is why I think it's going to happen. And I'm going to ask you guys. So the Cowboys game again for the Bills and the Jets game for the Dolphins, both of them now don't matter. They actually don't matter. No matter what happens, the same result happens. Do you think the Bills are going to beat the Chargers and the Patriots?
Yes.
Yes and yes.
Okay. Do you think the Ravens? Do you think the Dolphins are going to beat the Cowboys and the Ravens?
I think they could be one of those teams. Yeah.
Here's the catch, though. The Dolphins lost their starting center in this game. That's huge.
Yes, it is.
Against both the Jets and the Cowboys. With those two pass rushers with a backup center, that's dangerous.
All right, so let's say they lose those 2 games, Jacob, and then the Bills win those 2 games. Then what's your crystal ball?
That makes the winner of that makes it the Sunday night game because winner of Bills Dolphins, winner is the winner of the division. Loser goes home. Loser doesn't make playoffs.
Yeah, and look, even we talk about, you can talk about the fractured culture in the locker room or whatever that article was talking about with the Bills all day long. The Bills still in the building expect to win, and they expect to be in the playoffs year in, year out. Miami does not have that culture yet. Mike McDaniel, I think, is building it. I think he's a great head coach. Man, I wish I had him in my building 10 years ago.
God, I'd kill to have Mike McDaniel right now. I'd kill to have him.
He is such a delightfully weird dude.
Yeah.
That is the best description of Mike McDaniel I've ever heard. Delightfully weird. But it's fun, you know. I mean, here, if you want to know how good of a head coach Mike McDaniel is, he is such a good coach. He got Ken Knapsack to watch football this year.
Wow.
I mean,
I know, Ken. That's impressive.
Dude, I'm sure Ken would be happy to be on your show next week. He loves talking football. I don't even know who the guy is anymore.
I'll text Ken.
Yeah.
Somebody, Mark, text Ken. See, he'll come on.
I don't have to. He's texting me right now, asking me what Jacob's crazy theory is.
But that's so. Yeah, I really do think that is going to end up being the Sunday night game. The Bills Dolphins will end up being the Sunday night game because of that. It's a win and go home. It's a win or go home.
Winning in. Yeah.
But my question, I guess, would then be, who do you like better when their back is against the wall? Both teams have had different. It really is going to come down to if Miami can overcome those injuries enough because I don't think that they fold under pressure necessarily.
Right.
And I also think that we need to give Vrabel a lot of credit for holding that team together the last 4 minutes because you could see the sideline crestfallen, except Vrabel, after dude muffed the punt, Vrabel's over there and he's kind of listening to him, but he's also just kind of got the smirk on his face. Like that's the dude you want in your, that's the best combination of a culture guy and a head coach.
He's one of those guys. He's a player's coach. It's like him, Mike Tomlin, Dan Campbell. Like these guys are players' coaches.
Yeah.
Like if I'm the Patriots, I am begging the Titans. What do you want for him? Like we will trade anything for him.
Don't you dare give him like. I think Vrabel is legitimately if I were in the NFL right now, that's the kind of guy I want to go play for. Yeah. So, can
you imagine the rest of the AFC, the rest of the league, if all of a sudden the Patriots get Vrabel's their head coach and Caleb Williams is their starting quarterback?
Fucking cry. I'm gonna be like, are you kidding me? They're fucking back. Like 3 bad years, and that's it. That's the only penance they have to pay is 3 bad years with Mac Jones.
Not even like 3 bad years, 2 bad years of Mac Jones.
Yeah, two bad years.
Playoffs rookie year.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if I would have wanted to make the playoffs and then had the Josh Allen perfect game. So
and then Josh Allen teabag you for 16 minutes, but yeah. But yeah. So moving on to I think that's it for games. So we now move on to our look ahead. Week 15 as well as stunks or not stunks. No more buys. Everybody's playing. Thursday night football, I got the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Who the fuck is the backup for
out this week?
What's in the stick?
Who the hell is that?
That's his name.
Yeah. So like I said, Wonka comes out on Thursday, so that's what
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right, Mark.
Yeah, I watched too much college football as well. Look, he's got the name. If I'm writing a novel about a great quarterback, Easton Stick is the guy's name. He's got that going for him. But yeah, this is Antonio Pierce is such an interesting sort of case study for me. I think this is a big football game for the Raiders. I really do. I think that the Raiders can have a big culture win. And Thursday night, the Chargers crestfallen. Staley knows he's a lame duck now. Easton Stick, I just don't. I'm not going to see a lot of juice. The Chargers running back, their entire running game is just disgusting. So I would
Austin Eckler hasn't even passed 500 yards of rushing this year.
Yeah, you got to lean towards the Raiders here.
Yeah, I'm going Raiders.
Yeah, honestly, Antonio Pierce has been a coach for fucking 3 weeks. I already like him better than Staley. So give me Raiders.
Yeah. I got the Raiders. I'm also very thankful. My wife's company has tickets to the ECHL affiliate of the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and we're going to the game that night. And it happens to be Marvel Rocket Raccoon night, so they'll be wearing Rocket Raccoon jerseys that night. So yeah, I have a much better situation going on than watching this game.
I am on the road this Thursday, so I will not be watching this game either. maybe I'll put it on in the car. For this one, I'm going to throw out the name of let's say Austin Eckler.
No,
not Stonks.
It's All
right. Wow, unanimous. Okay, fair enough. Up next, we should go Sunday back. We have a Saturday triple header, starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Indianapolis Colts.
Can I just mention, Billy? We get to this triple header. All four of them are currently right now playoff teams.
Isn't that crazy?
And four of them have backups.
Mm-hmm.
4 of them are with backup quarterbacks right now.
Yeah,
there's so many backups playing in this league right now. It's absurd.
Oh, next year's quarterback tier ranker is going to be hilarious.
Oh, it is.
When we do the stream, if we do it again, where you try to get us to name every quarterback that started this year, our brains are going to explode because there's just so many.
I literally have like an entire document of like every starting quarterback we've had so far. But yeah, so look, these are my boys. I'm speaking on this first. Look, as pretty much expected, Kenny Pickett is not playing again. Where we are forced to once again suffer through Mr. Trubisky. Not only that, we are now without 2 of our best defenders. TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith are now no longer playing. They are both in concussion protocol. Both our edges are in concussion protocol.
Here's the thing, though, is that Gardner Minshew is so volatile. You have no idea. Like, I hate picking Colts games right now because you just don't know what the hell is going to happen in that game. He might throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. He might throw for 175, a touchdown and 7 picks. You just don't know. Like with the way this
is the thing. Like everything is pointing to the Steelers losing this game, which means they're gonna somehow win this game.
Yeah,
it's gonna be ugly. This could be a watchable game of the week. But I do feel like they're going to win this game.
Like a 14-10-ish kind of score in this, I think, is realistic.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin finds a way, but I still think I think the Colts edge out the TJ Wattless Steelers.
I don't blame you for thinking that. I don't blame you for thinking that.
That right there, the 2 defensive injuries are the reason I am going with the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really close. This is not a runaway game whatsoever. If the Steelers win it, I won't say upset or anything like that. Like, this is going to be a close game, one way or the other. It's a 1-score game.
Yeah, I'm going Colts. I think it's a close and damn near unwatchable game, though.
I don't blame you for going that way. Regardless, though, Steelers stunks. Other team, not stunks. Up next, Saturday triple header. We got the Minnesota Vikings taking on Cincinnati Bengals. We now have word that we got official word that Nick Mullins will officially be starting this game.
So, do you remember what happened last year when the Minnesota Vikings played on a Saturday triple header?
Yes.
So I really don't know what to expect out of this one. If Jefferson is out, which we don't know what's happening, I think outright. If he's out, I'm going Bengals. If Jefferson does play, I kind of reevaluate a little, but I am going to go with the Bengals on this. I think Browning's playing well enough. And this 2-headed monster in the backfield, all of a sudden to Mixon and Chase Brown against this Vikings defense, I think they're going to feast.
Bengals should win this, but I just think this is one of those games that it's a Saturday game where suddenly Mullins is going to play really well because that's just what's been happening in the year of the 2023 NFL season, and Browning's going to come back down to earth. So I'm going to say Vikings, and also because it's what I really need to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Mullins has a pretty good target to throw to again with Jefferson, but I still think the Bengals.
It's still Nick Mullins.
I think Nick Mullins showed some flash in San Francisco a little bit. couple, it's good throws that weren't necessarily intercepted. Look, I could try to make an argument for the guy. The Bengals are going to win this game.
For this one, let's throw it. Does he continue? Chase Brown.
I think yes. I don't know that Minnesota has the defensive line to really contain him, and he's been explosive. I like him in this game.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Stonks.
All right, Stonks for Chase Brown. Up next, final little game of the triple header. We have Denver Broncos taking on the Detroit Lions.
This one's going to be good. I'm actually surprisingly excited for this game. I'm going the Broncos. Like I can't. If you had told me 3, I picked the Broncos in this game. They're going to out scheme Detroit, and Detroit is going to take one too many risk. I think this actually is a sneaky, like both teams in the 20-point range, but Russell Wilson is going to pull this off, I think.
See, I'm kind of there with you that I do think this is this is the game that the Lions kind of blow, and we're like, and then the questions again keep just starting of, oh my god, are the Lions about to, like, are they really just going to become the Lions and blow it? The Packers losing.
You get out for you too.
Yeah, I might as well jump in here.
We lost Jacob.
There you go. You're back.
Okay, you go.
All right. I think that this is a game that Detroit's fan base is going to show up. They're going to be loud. It's going to be a great football atmosphere. It's going to feel like the playoffs. I don't trust Russell Wilson for a whole game. And he's not the Russell Wilson that can single-handedly come back and win you a game. He can show flashes of it. He's done it this season. I don't think that even as putrid as Detroit's defense has looked, if Detroit does the smart thing and they lean on their running game, powered by Gibbs, I feel like Jared Goff can play better than he's shown in the last couple of weeks. And I think the Lions get back on track. I think that the Broncos have been an amazing turnaround story. I think we might just be selling that stock at a little too high of a price right now.
All right. For this one, for Stonks or not Stonks, let's say Cortland Sutton.
Stonks.
Yeah, against that secondary, I think so too.
I mean, based on the point I just made, I'm going to have to go not Stonks, but I'll go not Stonks just to be contrary.
Still two-thirds Stonks.
2/3 done, yeah, it's fair.
Up next, Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Green Bay Packers.
This is going to be a defensive-minded game, I think. I don't really see either of these teams exploding in this game. Fairly low score. I'm going to call slightly leaning towards. I think I actually am going to go Tampa on this. I think that Tampa's got slightly more firepower. They right this minute have more to play for. They both have a lot to play for, but I think Tampa's in a situation that, this win solidifies them in the South.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I think they're going to come out and have a prove it game right here. I like Mike Evans to have a real big bounce back after what happened this past week.
See, I kind of got the complete opposite of you. I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. I think this is going to be because both these defenses have not been particularly good. And I think that Jordan Love's been playing pretty well. He's actually this week aside, I don't think he was horrific this week. I didn't think he was great, but I didn't think he was horrific on Monday.
He was fine.
Yeah. And Baker with Mike Evans has been playing pretty well this year. He hasn't, again, it's the same thing. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been terrible. So I think this is actually going to be I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 31-34 win or something, like a high scoring game with a 3 in front of it. So I am going to go Tampa though as well, just because I do think right now Baker is the better of the two quarterbacks.
I think it's here's the thing about both these teams. It seems this season is that when they're in position and they got to have a win, they just can't get it. So who's going to do it when they both need it? I'm going to go with just looking at the head coaches. I think that Todd Bowles is a great defensive mind. LaFleur, offensive. I'm going to go with the offensive guy at home against the defense that just isn't playing up to their head coach's ability. And I say that knowing that Todd Bowles was my starting free safety in Super Bowl 22. But I'm going to take the Packers at home here.
I forgot he played for Washington.
We used to be a football team.
Yes, you did.
2 years in a row.
Yeah. I'm going to throw out let's go with Rashad White.
Yeah, that's a stonks for me.
Yeah, I think so too. He's played well, and against Green Bay, I think he does well on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, Houston Texans versus the Tennessee Titans. Battle in the AFC South.
If this was 2 weeks ago, this would have been a no-brainer for me with the Texans. The way things have changed with the Texans now being down Collins and Dell, I think
and more than likely, and like he hasn't been confirmed yet, so more than likely also down Stroud.
It could be if Stroud's out, this is easily the Titans. I think even with Stroud.
Have you guys not met Case Keenum or Davis Mills?
Yes, extra stunts.
I don't know. It feels like another letdown for the Titans after that huge win, but you're right. The Texans are just so banged up. This is a big game for if. I already think DeMeco Ryans is a really good head coach. He could be a great head coach if he somehow gets this team to win on the road against a Titans team that is all of a sudden like just juiced. I mean, they just like Will Levis has so much confidence right now. I can't pick unless I know CJ Stroud is playing. I cannot pick the Texans. I will say cautiously optimistic that he can play. I'll take the Texans. I'll be that guy.
Yeah.
Ooh, bold.
Someone who could or could not be stonks, depending on what week it is. Derrick Henry.
Against this defense, I think stonks. I think just with how many injuries have just decimated this team, unfortunately, I'm going to go stonks.
You just watch the Jets run all over them. Derrick Henry's going to run all over them.
I think Derrick Henry's going to be not stonks for like I don't know, 20 of his 22 carries, but those other two are going to go for like 50 and 60.
I can see that. I could see that.
He's definitely a stonks this week, yeah.
Up next, Mike, your boy, the New York Jets going to Miami to take on the Dolphins.
Please.
This game is going to be closer than I think people think. I'm still picking the Dolphins. They have the talent. But after that center injury and the Jets pass rush against Tua, I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on him. Miami is not going to be as explosive as we're used to seeing. Even that first game against them, the fucking Hail Mary, that one, Miami did not take over that game until late in the game. I think the Jets defense keeps them in this. I'm still going to pick Miami because I think they have the more talented offense. However, this is not going to be Miami putting up 35, 40 points. If Miami crosses 24, I'll be shocked. I don't think the Jets match that, though.
A banged up Tyreek Hill, a Jets defense that's fairly motivated. Because you're right. In that first game, without that interception, they're only up. The
Jets are up.
Yeah, the Jets are up going into halftime. Like without that interception, this isn't that was not a blowout win. You look at the score and you're like, oh, they flogged them last time. No, they didn't. You watch that game, they did not. So I think this is when the Jets win. And I'm not just saying that as the Bills fan. I legitimately think the Jets can win this game.
I just feel like Zach Wilson is, if you're telling a joke, you have like the setup and then the punchline. And I feel like the setup was this past week with how well he played. And I just can't trust Zach Wilson. I'm rooting for him. I mean, but I just cannot trust him 2 weeks in a row, So I just think that I think he has a game where he throws like 4 picks and they're disgusting. And Wilson and company, Garrett Wilson are yelling at him on the sideline again. Like I just can't see the Jets playing that well 2 weeks in a row.
He was able to do it at the start of the year when he did it against the Chiefs and then the Broncos. So he was able to do it back to back. Now, I think, admittedly, I think that actually hurt their season because they didn't go out and get a better quarterback. But like he has shown that he can. It is possible, and then he did it again against the Eagles. Damn, yeah, he went 3 weeks in a row.
Wildly inconsistent though. There's a reason I'm wearing a number 1 and not a number 2 right now. So.
All right. For this one, let's say Tyreek Hill.
Not stonks. I think just straight up not stonks because Sauce is going to be all over him
against DJ Reed or Sauce. Either one of them, with him not being 100%. Both of them. He'll get the ball, but he's not putting up over 100 this game. No.
I would also just say not stonks because he's not going to be close to 100%.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Dolphins have not been good when they play against good defenses all year? Right. They have not been good against good defenses.
They have one win over a 500 team this year?
Mm-hmm.
Do they still have? I didn't think they did have that at all either. Anyway, unless someone's now become a 500 team that they beat. But yeah,
they beat y'all.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. We beat them.
They beat the Jets.
We won that game. We beat.
Oh no, the Bills. Right.
They're the only division team we've won so far, and one game against the Jets because we lost to the Patriots and the Jets.
Oh no, they beat the Broncos, who were not 500 when they. But
now they are right. Yep. Sorry. Yeah. That's someone who's now become 500. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for this next game, the New York Giants taking on the New Orleans Saints.
Candidate for unwatchable.
Oh.
Candidate. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm taking the Saints all day in this one. I just think the Giants are having a great time. The locker room's great. I think the Saints bring it back down to earth.
Saints defense is enough to stifle Tommy Cutlets, I think. Yeah, I also got the Saints.
I agree with that. That Saints defense is still legitimately good. Like, I don't think it's great, but I think it's still a legitimately good defense. I honestly think this is a 10-7 game, if that. Like, this is going to be a really bad game.
Yeah. This is not the game. If you have somebody in your house who is on the fence about becoming a football fan, do not show them this game.
Ken Knapsack, don't watch this.
Well, it's funny. I was going to throw out. I feel where you're going, but I was going to throw out Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah, I think he falls in this game. I'm going to say no.
Yeah, not stonks.
That's going to be a big not stonks. I don't think the whole family travels to New Orleans.
Up next, another candidate for a waffle game of the week. Atlanta Falcons versus Carolina Panthers.
Atlanta wins this game. Let's move on.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Look, Carolina are going to win one of these games. They're going to win one. I don't know which one it is, but they're going to win one of them. Like, I don't know. It could be this one just because Arthur Smith is a terrible coach. So
you could get a lot of Arthur Smith face in the second half of this game, and that's never a good thing. But I still think the Falcons find a way.
Yeah.
Dijon's Bijan.
I like him in this game.
That's a big stonks for me.
Yeah.
If Arthur Smith plays him, stonks. If he doesn't, then well.
Well, yeah.
Next game, Kansas City Chiefs versus New England Patriots.
It's the Chiefs. Let's move on.
Oh, I feel so bad for the Patriots in this game. You're going to get pissed off, Patrick Mahomes. Oh God,
this could be like a 35-point win.
Actually, here's the thing. I actually don't think this is going to be very high scoring. I think this is going to also be a drag out fight because I just think, again, their offense is that bad this year. But you're going to get pissed off Patrick Mahomes, and there's going to be a lot of small balls to Travis Kelce, and he's just going to go down the field and drain clock.
Kelce catching 15 balls in this game won't shock me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also feel like whether they start Zappe again or they start Jones, I think whoever's playing quarterback for the Patriots is going to make a couple crucial mistakes. But you're right. I don't think this is a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. I think that the Chiefs could win by a touchdown, 10 points, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Chris Jones is going to feast in this game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Chris Jones is going to have a big game.
All right. For this one, I'm gonna say someone who could have emerged as stonks, but he is not so far. Except for that one time he did. Rashee Rice.
I think look. I still like Rashid Rice. I think he is going to end up being a really good wide receiver for the Chiefs.
Yeah,
he's just not there yet. But again, this Patriots defense has been pretty good over the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to say not Stonks.
I think he's going to get like 3 or 4 receptions. I think he hits the end zone. So I'll say Stonks in that regard.
I'll say
Ellis for the tiebreaker. Oh, not Stonks.
Not Stonks. I think Mahomes is looking for who he trusts in this game, and I think he's going to lean heavily on Kelsey, maybe a little McKinnon. Let Pacheco have a lot of fun, and
if Pacheco's there, we still don't know that yet.
If he's right. That's a big one. Yeah.
Now the other big question for this game is who are the refs more scared of? A pissed off Patrick Mahomes or a pissed off Bill Belichick?
It's Mahomes after this past week.
I think the NFL made us feel like, hey, you guys call your own fouls this game. We're not going to send it through. Everybody be honest.
After that, we got the Chicago Bears taking on the Cleveland Browns.
This is all Cleveland. All Cleveland all day in this game.
This feels like a big Cleveland game.
Okay, yeah, but at some point, like Jacob said, Carolina's going to win. At some point, I think Flacco is going to remember that he's 38 years old.
Go Flacco.
Yeah.
Don't make me do it.
I think this is a low-scoring game. I don't think it. The problem. I just think that Browns defense is going to murder Justin Fields.
I know you're a Star Wars guy. Do it.
I'm gonna. Okay, they're the Browns. I'll take the Bears. I'll take the Bears in the upset. You're welcome, Peggy.
All right. Let's go for it. Justin Fields. Does he increase his job security?
I gotta go Stonks, baby. Big.
I think he gets murdered. I think Myles Garrett gets 2 sacks.
I agree with Myles Garrett getting 2 sacks, but I think his numbers will be enough to justify Stonks.
All right. After that, we got San Fran taking on the Arizona Cardinals.
Now this is a murder. Now this is a murder.
Yeah.
I think that Arizona will, in the first half, like at least the first quarter, put up a fight, but that defense is just going to chip away at them, and by the third quarter, they're just going to be done.
Yeah, it's going to look a lot like one guy trying to Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl his way against an incredible defense.
And it's McCaffrey.
Kyler Murray just doesn't have the web, so you got to go San Francisco here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I'll take him Stonks. Why not?
Yeah, Ayuk. I mean, he's a 49er against a bad defense. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ratified.
Ellis, up next, we got your boys at a game that you'll be at. Washington Commanders taking on the Los Angeles Rams.
Well, here's the issue: is that my team can play well, and we play the Eagles tough twice this year. There's probably 3 or 4 games that we left out there that easily could have gone the other way. The issue is our defense is atrocious, particularly in the secondary, and that's where the Rams are starting to find their stride. We're going against an offensive genius head coach. Matthew Stafford looks healthy, a healthy wide receiving core again. I think that it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think that I'm good either way as far as starting Sam Howell or Matthew Stafford on my fantasy team. I think both of them could go north of 20 points, but obviously I'm going to take the Commanders. But I think it's going to be a really tough game for them to pull up. I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we're going to do it.
I feel very, very nervous for Sam Howell with Sam Donald.
Aaron Donald
coming and murdering him.
Yeah.
That O-line, that O-line's rough, and Aaron Donald's going to have a lot of fun going up against that O-line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the Rams, but I think the more important over-under in this game, what does a Coors Light cost at SoFi?
You know what? The price is going to be a non-issue when I'm in a situation. Okay? I'll call my finance guy.
When you get to a certain point, you don't care.
Yeah.
Just make the pain stop.
I'll give the Comedy Store a little call. Hey, can I get some up front? You guys know I'm good for it.
Can I get an advance?
I'm going to be at the game with fellow Commanders fan Thad Williams is going to be there with me, and Barbarian is going to be representing the Rams. So anything can happen. But if Hal stays upright, then we've proven, even in games we haven't ended up winning, Hal plays very well in clutch situations. And if we're close in the fourth quarter, then I think that we have a legit shot.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember we were speaking about, sorry, just a little off topic. Remember we were speaking about Draymond Green constantly wants to get ejected? Yeah, he just got ejected in the summer.
Yeah, ejected.
What a great show this is, where we're literally prognosticating things and then they come true in real time.
Taylor just texted me. She's like, does he even want to play basketball anymore? I don't think so.
That team, he might not.
Let's say Scary Terry for Stonks or not Stonks.
Stonks, baby.
After what happened the last game, yeah, I think they're gonna feed him the ball. So yes, Stonks.
He's not gonna get paid to do cardio for an hour. Not lastly, but for our teams, you boys.
Wow.
Jacob, Dallas Cowboys taking on the Buffalo Bills.
Please, I'm begging you, please win this game. Please. It'll be the greatest birthday present ever.
I think Dallas is going to both these teams are coming in on a high. However, Dallas is coming in off of a dominant win, whereas Buffalo had to fight to the last second.
And Buffalo coming off a win that a lot of people aren't calling legitimate.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to come out and prove something.
Buffalo has more to prove in this game. This is going to be close, though. This game is this is not a blowout on either side. Slightly going Buffalo.
As far as those emotional wins go, it's hard to top Dallas beating Philadelphia, but the fashion in which they beat Philadelphia at home, they got to coast like the Dolphins thought they were going to get to last night. I mean, they pretty much got to just rest on their laurels in the fourth quarter, whereas the Bills had to go to Kansas City. And you're right, we're still talking about that game, and we're going to continue to have conversations about that game leading into that. So I think that bodes well for the Cowboys. And unfortunately for Jacob, I already used my fantasy pick of picking my team to beat the Rams. I can't, in good faith, say the Cowboys, so I think it ends in a tie.
I will say this though. I will say this. It is in Buffalo, and the Cowboys historically have not been good on the road in the last 3 years. During the Mike McCarthy era,
give me Buffalo. Put me down for Buffalo.
Not played well on the road, so we'll see.
All right. For this one, it does suck that Trayvon got hurt. We could have gotten the Diggs on Diggs action.
Yeah, we haven't had it in. Actually, I don't think it's happened with the Bills yet. I don't ever think.
Well, it's never happened. Period.
Oh, okay. I thought it happened with the Vikings. I thought they played once against the.
No, Trayvon would not have been in the league when he was with the Vikings.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It would have been fun to watch because, like the Draymond thing, I think both of them might have gotten kicked out by the first quarter.
Yeah, you had to bring in Stephon, their dad, to come in and break up the fight. Break it up, kids.
That'd be so great. Yeah, I'll take the Bills here.
For this one, let's say Tony Pollard.
I'm going to say not Stonks. I think that I think the Bills D shows up, and I think that McCarthy is feeling more and more comfortable relying on Dak to do many, many things.
I agree on this one. Like, Pollard just hasn't done much overall this season to impress me, and against this defense,
he's not a power runner. He's not power runner, and that's the biggest problem they've had. Is this team's built around a power runner? That's why they had Zeke, and now they don't have one, and so they've had to rely on Dak. And admittedly, Dak has stood up.
Yeah,
and so I'm going not Stonks.
All right. Sunday Night Football, we got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This could be a better game than people are expecting, I think.
Yeah.
Jacksonville struggles the past couple weeks aside. I think they match up pretty well against Baltimore. But if Lamar plays all 4 quarters, which has been their issue, like they've had a couple games where the fourth quarter he's kind of stepped off the gas. If Lamar plays all 4 quarters like he just did this past week, I got Baltimore.
I'm going Baltimore. as well. I think at this point, I think Trevor Lawrence is still not 100%. I think it's very clear he's still not 100%. And this, I think it won't be a blowout, and I think it'll be I agree. I think it'll be a good game, a good close game. I also think there's a reason they didn't flex this one out, because it's probably the best game of the week for it. But yeah, I just got Lamar Jackson showing up and playing.
Could
really
be a very important game as far as the MVP voting is concerned as well. It's a spotlight game for Lamar. I think he plays well. I don't think Jacksonville's going to be healthy enough to tussle with them, but the Ravens could lay off the gas, because you got to remember that earlier that day, the Bears are going to have already beaten the Browns. So he may not have to win that game like you would think. The pressure. I still put the Ravens above the Jags Sunday night.
So for this one, let's say Calvin Ridley.
I've had him on fantasy all year, not stonks. He's been freaking awful all year.
Yeah, and without healthy Trevor tossing the rock around to him, I'm going to go not stonks as well.
Yeah, I unanimous.
All right. Lastly, Monday Night Football, we got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Seattle Seahawks.
This is good. This is
a potential upset.
This could be spicy.
It is, but I'm leaning more towards the get-right game for Philadelphia.
I'm also on page with you on this, Chance, but again, another game I think is going to be. This is not a blowout. Seattle, especially if Geno, as long as Geno's back, with the way that the rest of that team is playing right now, yeah, like their defense is vulnerable, but that offense is still really good.
Yeah, but here's why I think Seattle can win this game, and it's that secondary is bad. Like it's not mediocre, it's not meh, it's bad. Like it's a really, really bad secondary.
You want to know? Like I see in the comments, DK and Lockett. Is this the JSN breakout game? Like that's I think it could be. Is
this a huge break? If Geno plays, I could see that. We also know Hurts is injured. Hurts is still hurt, and teams have kind of figured out, hey, if you cover AJ Brown and don't let him pop off, Hurts is kind of struggling right now.
Yeah,
I think you're talking about a get right game for Philly. I think this is a get right game for DK, and I think that speaking of secondaries, the Seahawks secondary. They've got some young pieces in there that are starting to fall. And they, I think, are the reason why I would take the Seahawks. They also need this for the playoffs, too. For some reason, I just can't not take the Eagles. Just based on, I think the Eagles are going to play much better than they showed overall last week. So I take the Eagles, but I don't feel good about doing it.
All right. Well, let's throw him out there. Let's say DK. Does he come back?
Oh, I like DK in this game.
Massive stonks.
I like DK in this game.
Every single quarterback this year has absolutely lit up that secondary. Even the terrible ones.
Wilson. That secondary. Yeah. The Commanders put up 30 points twice against them.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the show. Ellis, thank you so much for joining us. Anything you want to plug before you head out?
Speaking of Seattle, I'll be there right before Christmas telling jokes at the House of Comedy. If you guys want to come up, you can get tickets through my website, social media, all that good stuff. December 22nd and 23rd, I'll be there with Ken Knapsack telling jokes as well when he's not watching SportsCenter. So come on up. Should be a good time. And then next year, I got a bunch of tour dates, including San Diego, Boston, Portland, a bunch of other places I'm forgetting. So I'll make those announcements soon. And thanks for having me, guys. It's good to see your sweet faces.
Thank you so much for coming.
Of course. Jacob, anything to plug?
You guys can find me pretty much everywhere at Jacob London and on our podcast, Lights on the Screen. This week's Wonka. We're going to be diving into that. Not sure how excited I am, but Taylor is also going to go finally see Godzilla -1, so she's going to be able to talk about that.
Very nice.
I have Godzilla taking out Wonka in that game. Godzilla's my Wonka.
I have a feeling too.
So Godzilla Stonks Player of the Week.
Yep. Stonks Player of the Week.
Mike, thank you for being a trooper through this whole show. Where will we find you?
You can find me on obviously here. And on Wednesday nights on What the Show. Tomorrow night, we got a fun one. We're going to be talking Christmas action movies with JTE. So, yeah, that'll be fun.
All right.
Nice.
And we find me Twitter, Instagram, Chance Wars _91. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.
How far he can throw it, if indeed he throws it, or they try a lateral or whatever here. Meanwhile, he just tries to get away from everybody, throws it into the end zone, into a lot of traffic, and there's a pick on the other side. And coming back from the end zone is Holland, and Holland is at the midfield, and Holland is inside the 40, and Holland is inside the 20. Can you believe this? More than in Indianapolis, the offensive coordinator busted a play here.